The other day we got the full Black Ops 7 Zombies gameplay reveal, revealing an absolute boatload of information since they released literally a 50-minute blog and a ton of gameplay and details separately. So in this video I wanted to compile it all into one massive video, breaking down absolutely everything. So I'm going to go through all of the details from the blog. I will also go through all of the gameplay that they have released in both the intel drops as well as the initial trailer, and try and make sense of it all, because all of this information has been so overwhelming since it all just came at once. It really would have been better if they spazzed it out a little bit better. But as you know, next Tuesday, the 30th of September, will be Call of Duty Next, where we're going to see full-on Black Ops 7 Zombies gameplay, as they are going to be showing 6 out of the 8 total points of interest of Ashes of the Damned. However, the games that people will be playing will be capped at 30 minutes maximum, so hopefully it doesn't spoil too much about the map. I really would have preferred if they just got to play the farm survival map early, which we're of course going to be able to play early as well for the first time ever, which I'll come on to in a bit. But at least because the matches are going to be capped at 30 minutes, they're probably not going to progress too far, so hopefully it won't spoil too much. So I'm just going to play all of the gameplay and trailers that we've received thus far, and then I'm going to break down all of the information from the blog before we go through the trailers piece by piece. Enjoy.
I know. Y'all are confused. So was I. But as they say, this too shall pass.
Let the carnage begin! Old Tessie and Ted, together again!
Burn rubber!
Oh! Company!
Like mowing the Lord of Flesh! Happy New Year, demon spawn!
Definitely wasn't English breakfast.
Oh, literally at my fingertips. Time to roll out.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Play Zombies Survival in the beta.
Without a doubt, this is one of the most ambitious Zombies maps we've ever made.
We're doing a ton of dope and we're just getting started. Ashes of the Damned is huge.
It is the darkest and creepiest map we've made, and it's just terrifying and surreal, and it's a nightmare.
When you first come in, you are in a crashed Janus Towers that has fallen into the dark ether.
You come out of the rubble and you see this vast landscape with all of these unique locations connected by roads that are really deadly. And zombies are spawning much higher rates, and you need old Tessie to get from destination to destination.
We're introducing Tessie, the new 5th member of your squad.
You find this broken down, incredible looking vehicle. You really want to drive it, but it's not working.
You'll have to go in and find T.E.D., the first upgrade to the vehicle.
Once you get T.E.D. and T.E.D. is installed in the truck, he brings Tessie to life.
Old Tessie and Ted, together again!
And once you get to Ashwood, we need the Pack-a-Punch to get stronger to survive. So you take the jet engine and install it in the back of Tessie. And so now you have a mobile Pack-a-Punch machine, but you also have a boost functionality.
The third upgrade is the Abomination Carcass. When this is added to the vehicle, its durability against zombies is increased. And the coolest thing that the Abomination heads can do is the laser attack.
It's pretty amazing. It's pretty gross. And And then the final upgrade is adding that DG2 turret to the roof.
This is the first Wonder vehicle that we have where every member of the squad can participate. There's a driver, there's a turret seat, and then for the 2 other players, there are things in the world that you want to be protecting the vehicle from.
We have our new elite enemy.
The Zursa, this thing is this giant zombie undead bear. We had to have something that is equal to the vehicle to feel intense, to fight, and scary. It also is covered in beehives that shoot bees at you.
We call them zombies.
We are also introducing our new enemy type. The Ravager is a twisted humanoid being.
It really has a dual role, either attacking you or sometimes they'll prioritize stealing your stuff.
It jumps on your car, it rips it apart.
We wanted to make this thing have that danger to it, that shrieky element to the vocalizations and to the whole sound design that, yes, this thing is small, but this thing will mess you up.
Wisp T is a brand new perk coming to Black Ops 7.
It's a Wisp that will attack the closest zombie to you.
And depending on how you augment it, can revive you, it can heal you, it can do additional damage and shoot other zombies. Fireworks is the ammo mod that we're gonna be bringing. When you shoot a zombie, it spawns a bunch of fireworks and they spiral out and take out other zombies in the area.
We want to make sure that BO7 is an interesting and a dynamic experience for both new and unfamiliar players and seasoned hardcore players.
We have survival maps for casual players. We have directed mode for our beginner players. We have curse mode for the hardcore players.
Curse mode is really about focusing on our most engaged players and giving them additional challenges. The idea is that once you've finished a main quest on a map, we unlock these things that we call relics. And so you're choosing how you want to make the mode harder, but by making the mode harder, you're also going to be opening up a lot of new content. We're actually going to increase your power levels. There's also some Easter eggs that are only going to be discoverable when you're engaged in curse mode. We're not holding back this year. I don't think players are going to be ready for what they're about to experience.
I think is the most atmospheric and dark map we've had.
The vibe of Ashes of the Damned is absolutely insane, and we're just getting started.
We've expanded the augment research to add an additional minor and major augment.
And on top of that, the final bit of progression is unlocking a secondary minor augment slot so that you can basically equip a major augment and 2 minor augments together.
And adding that ability to have a second minor really expands your power levels. Every single perk is slightly better, and my ammo mod's better, and my field upgrade's better.
It's fun to work on an enemy type that does have a basis in reality. We know bears, they're already scary. Now, how do we try and bring in this idea of the dark ether has corrupted this creature? What we'll do is we'll start from a place of using real bear vocals. But then you gotta add other elements. The bear is wet looking and kind of disgusting looking. So we'll bring in those wet elements. This is stabbing into a cabbage. And we put it all together in a way to make something big and beefy.
The entire story takes place within the Dark Ether. Ashes of the Damned is really our gateway into that experience.
And now we're in its beating heart. All bets are off.
We pick up immediately after the ending of Black Ops 6.
Where the main characters mysteriously vanish into thin air.
And they are teleported at the end of Reckoning to their arrival in the Dark Ether.
We're really experiencing it through the lens of the Black Ops 6 crew and now the Black Ops 7 crew that we're going to meet immediately.
Welcome to the party.
They come from different timelines, different realities. Nikolai is a Soviet tanker in their 1980s conflict in Afghanistan. Takeo hails from 16th century feudal Japan. He's a disgraced samurai. Dempsey, fresh from battle in Vietnam. Last but not least, Richtofen comes from the 1940s in a timeline in which Germany won World War II.
I know you're seeing a face and a name that you think you know, but I guarantee you don't know these guys.
The 8 characters in our dedicated crew are confronted by a powerful being who drains their life essence and then leaves them to contend with the hazards that they'll find in the Dark Ether.
Our new antagonist is Formidable, almost impossible, but not unbeatable.
You're gonna have to play and find out.
Ashes of the Dam is huge. The sky has crazy lights, and you're just immediately kind of trying to figure out what you need to do to survive.
Kill them or be killed!
The Dark Ether, you could think of it as like the Bermuda Triangle. So over time on Earth or elsewhere, various locations were drawn in and brought here.
Anything that falls out of a realm, the chances are it's going to turn up in the Dark Ether.
Whatever we have in our imagination, we can make that come to life to make your nightmares come true.
Nobody is on home turf here. We are in unprecedented territory. The rules are not the rules that we know.
You really need to stick together as a squad to survive in this place.
In an environment that's doing its level best to kill them all the time.
They're gonna find really quickly that they can't really advance or escape without using the Tessie, the Wonder Vehicle. It's crucial to their survival here. They're gonna find T.E.D.
T.E.D has been a fixture in the Dark Ether for a long time. He knows his way around.
He's gonna let players know what's going on here and help them find the clues to survive. The exploration is great. It's terrifying. It's fun. You've never played anything like this before.
The events of the Black Ops 7 Zombies storyline are going to take you on a wild ride across the Dark Ether. Buckle up.
For the Ravager, that was a multi-part way of creating the audio. First, we started with our vocal session. We'll record pains, breathing, running, all those sorts of sounds. And we'll pitch and stretch and do other various effects. And we'll also layer in other elements, like we'll cut off a chunk of the monkey shrill, layer it in with the human vocalization, do some other magic, and you've got yourself a vocalization that ebbs and flows as it goes through.
A big part of Black Ops 7 Zombies is the return of survival maps. And the idea here is that it's just that destination, so there's smaller maps, but everything you need to survive is built into there. So there's a pack-a-punch, arsenal, wall buys, mystery box. It's all there. As the seasons move on, we're going to be releasing more survival maps, but at launch, Farm is going to be our first, and it's a lot of fun to play.
Okay, so what have you thought of the Black Ops 7 Zombies gameplay reveals so far? Honestly, Ashes of the Damned looks like one of the most unique and atmospheric zombies maps we've had of the Dark Ether saga thus far. By a long shot, they have really listened to our feedback in my opinion. The map looks so creepy and eerie and so detailed, and considering the map is so huge, I'm sure there's going to be so many secrets to unearth and uncover in all of the dead space and the fog. This really feels like a return to form for the uniqueness of zombies that's been very much lacking in the Dark Ether saga thus far, and whilst much of the zombie systems are going to be remaining the same as from Black Ops Cold War onwards with some tweaks which I'll detail in this video, at least the way the map actually functions, specifically with the Wonder Vehicle, is really going to shake things up to make it feel very separate to any zombies experience we've seen so far in the Dark Ether saga. So let's go over everything from the blog. So as you know, the map is going to be taking place in the beating heart of the Dark Ether, essentially a Bermuda Triangle, including future maps as different timelines collide in the form of a combined 8-person crew. So the similarities to this map are most similar to Transit as well as Revelations, as there are going to be 8 points of interest that you can see this map created by Codename Pizza for the layout. So we have a couple locations inspired from Transit, like the farm and the diner. They're not exactly like their originals though. We also have the Ascension point of interest, but it's not exactly Ascension, it's more like the Cosmodrome launch multiplayer map that it's based on. As you know, you can only select up to 4 playable characters in Black Ops 7 Zombies, despite the fact that there's an 8-player cast. You have the Black Ops 6 Zombies crew as well as the original characters returning, but they've been described to be very different to the iterations we saw before, coming from different timelines. And all of the original voice actors are returning, apart from Takeo because Tom Kane unfortunately suffered a stroke, but Nelson Lee is going to be voicing him, and hopefully he does an amazing job. I'm sure he will. This is really the best case scenario they could have done. The most exciting news though from the Black Ops 7 Zombies reveal is that it has been confirmed that there's going to be a new Zombies map every single season. So I think this was actually planned for Black Ops 6 Zombies, and that's why we saw the cadence map releases so rapidly at the start of the game until the break for Reckoning. I think that was a test for Treyarch to see if releasing a map every single season increased retention, and it must have done phenomenally, because DLC 1 for Black Ops 7 Zombies will be releasing in Season 1. Now, they say during Season 1, so it might be the start or it might be Reloaded. That kind of implies Reloaded to me. Nevertheless, it's going to be very soon after release, so there's going to be no break at all. It'll probably release sometime in December before Christmas, when the player base is at its optimum and to capitalize on the launch hype. Now, there is not going to be a new main Zombies map every single season. As you know, obviously we're getting the farm survival map at launch and in the beta. However, this is the only one from Ashes of the Damned releasing at launch. So basically, other points of interest from Ashes of the Damned will be released as their own separate individual survival maps in the post-launch to fill out those seasons, but it seems like some sections from the future DLC maps will also be sectioned off and released as their own survival maps. But we don't really know which ones are actually going to be released as their own survival maps. There are 8 points of interest on Ashes of the Damned. I'm sure not all 8 are going to release, unfortunately, just like not all of the points of interest on the initial transit were released as their own survival maps. However, regardless of however many release, this is the absolute best case scenario that Zombies could have ever gotten. Because yes, these maps are not going to have a ton of replay value since they're just basic survival maps, but they will spark new life in the mode and mean that there's never really going to be a drought period. There's going to be so much content for this game. They've said this game is going to be receiving more post-launch support than ever before. Now, yes, they say that every single year, but according to leaks and rumors, Modern Warfare 4 will be jumping to a new engine, and so Treyarch cannot hold off some content that they have planned and scrapped for Black Ops 7 for a future project they're working on, a future game, because they need to rework that to be on this new engine, and due to technical reasons, they just can't do that. So apparently they've been given the heads up from Activision to just go all out with this game and release as much as possible, because with Black Ops 6, for example, a ton of post-launch content got postponed because they were making Black Ops 7 Zombies simultaneously, and they couldn't keep up with that sheer amount of content. Trying to produce 2 games at once was always a mistake. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. Now, as you know, some main maps have been leaked for a very long time ago now, which are apparently an alternative nuked Nazi-run New York, which is probably tied to Richthofen's home universe, considering we know he's from a universe where the Nazis won World War II. There's going to be a feudal Japanese temple set beneath an erupting volcano, probably Takeo's map, seeing as his history. There's apparently going to be a Vietnam map, probably tied to Tank Dempsey, and an Afghanistan map, probably tied to Nikolai, judging from their bios. And then we also have a space station map lease that we don't really know if that's tied to any character. It's potentially the finale map, or maybe even DLC 1. We have no idea about the order, and these are just rumored maps, of course, so it is possible that some may be cut or cancelled, but they do align with all of the character bios, so we might be getting 5 main DLC maps, or potentially at least 4 DLCs like we usually would if one gets cut, as well as sections from them will be released as their own survival maps. So this means if we get 6 seasons, we might have 4 with main map releases, and then the other 2 will just have survival maps. But it's also possible in the seasons where we get main maps, there might also be survival maps as well. So for example, if a main map releases at the start, a survival one could release in Reloaded. Maybe there's even going to be multiple survival maps per season, because like I said, there are literally 8 points of interest on Ashes of the Damned, so it is very well possible that all of them could end up releasing as round-based content, and that's a lot, even if just half of them released. So 3 more in its DLCs, excluding farm at launch, that's still a lot, and then the other DLC maps will be sectioned off as well. Now, of course, the DLC maps probably won't be as suited to be released as survival maps, because of course Ashes of the Damned is sectioned up like Transit, so it's really easy to portion them off as their own survival maps. So let me know what you think of that, of course, in the comments below. It means that Black Ops 7 Zombies is not going to have any gap for content at all. And this is just maps. This isn't even including modes and limited time modes and events. There's going to be no break. Content-wise, it's going to be crazy covering all of this stuff all year. Now, according to the leaker, The Ghost of Hope, the nuked Nazi New York map will apparently be DLC 1. But honestly, I'm not sure if I believe this, because most of the Ghost of Hope's leaks have been incorrect, whether that's due to misinformation or it's just outdated information. For example, he thought that there was going to be a DLC 5 that never materialized for Black Ops 6. So just take this with a massive grain of salt. It could be any of the other maps that have been rumored, and like I say, some of them could have been cut. We may potentially know more once the beta drops or once the final game drops, because they might be in the files of the game and we can work out a better ordering. For example, for Black Ops 6, we thought at first that Janus Towers would be DLC 1, and it was the complete opposite, as it ended up being the finale. So really it's too early to comment on the order right now. But let's go over the environment of Ashes of the Damned itself. So So the blog says, though the crew may have doubled, the whereabouts of support members are unknown, and they must explore an environment doing its level best to kill them all the time. This exploration occurs in unprecedented territory where the unearthly rules of engagement do not apply, and now more than ever, staying together as a squad is the key to survival. Ashes of the Damned is described as an off-world Bermuda Triangle where various earthly and celestial locations were transported and dropped into this place in the dark ether. Beginning with the twisted, otherworldly Janus Towers that once resided in Liberty Falls, there are 6 terrifying and surreal main locations to investigate, all linked together by treacherous and unforgiving roadways teeming with deadly threats. A cursory glance at strange land. This map is an exploration into the dark ether, a purgatory where scarred places from other times and dimensions loom out of the fog. So then we get a look at some glances of the areas to investigate. So we have the Janus Towers Plaza, so it seems like the Janus Towers have literally been ripped, or at least the plaza have been ripped into the dark ether. Now we never really see this in the Reckoning ending cutscene, so I don't know when exactly this takes place, or it's just off screen when that is going on, but this is not just a replica from the real world. These towers have literally been pulled into the dark ether alongside the crew, although like I say, in the Reckoning ending we only see the crew get pulled into the Sentinel artifact, which for some reason takes them into the dark ether. The intel throughout Black Ops 6 Zombies was implying that Liberty Falls would get sucked into the dark ether, but this is all we really see of it. It just seems to have happened off screen, weirdly enough, like many things in the dark ether story. But anyways, we saw in the intro cutscene it all got exploded, of course, so it's not just a ripped version of the spawn room of Reckoning. A triple-towered superstructure violently crashed into a warped and hostile dimension. One tower has collapsed completely, while electricity sparks and crackles from severed power lines, arcing into the oppressive skies. Now, let's go over everything we know about the Black Ops 7 Zombies beta, the first of its kind. So early access for pre-orders, or if you have an early access beta code, will be live from October 2nd to October 5th on all platforms, and then it's live for everyone from October 5th to October 8th. I absolutely cannot believe that for the first time ever, Call of Duty have done a Zombies beta. This has been a meme for such a long time because we've been making clickbait videos saying, oh, will there be a Zombies beta? But of course, there was always a really slim chance. Well, as you know, with Black Ops 6 Zombies, there were rumors that Treyarch wanted to do a Liberty Falls beta, but that never ended up materializing, probably due to the poor reception at Call of Duty Next, where this time, they're actually going to be letting us play. Now, as you know, according to rumors, the pre-order sales are down massively for Black Ops 7, and I believe it because they've been scrambling, changing the Vault Edition skins and stuff like that. So they've never been listening to feedback in this way before, so they needed another incentive for us to pre-order the game, and what better way than allowing us to play early. And I think the fact they are doing a survival map provides ample opportunity for this, because this way we can jump in, we can get a flavor of what Black Ops 7 Zombies is all about, how the gameplay systems feel, and give them feedback on balancing, etc. But we don't end up learning and spoiling everything about the map itself. Now, as you know, a lot of the stuff from Black Ops 6 Zombies, such as Augments, etc., are going to be transferring over. Now, we don't know if that's going to be accessible in the beta, though. I have to assume not, and probably everything's going to be very mitigated and locked, so it's probably going to be very difficult. So people are saying, well, is there going to be a round counter for the beta? However, I don't think so. I think you are going to be able to play indefinitely so they can gauge feedback for us fans on how the high rounds perform, and I think the stuff from Black Ops 6 will not be accessible in the beta, so it's going to be extremely difficult if we don't have augments, etc. However, I do wonder if that is in fact true, how we are going to respond to the beta, because I would imagine there's going to be loads of complaints saying it's way too hard and loads of suggestions about how to rebalance things when we're not even getting a true taste of what the final game is going to be like once we have all of our items. Now, of course, that's just a guess. I do not know if that's going to be true, but we will be playing it on Vondon Farm, one of the points of interest on the full Ashes of the Damned launch map. A once idyllic homestead, now a horrific memory of one family's descent into madness and ritualistic terror. So on the preview we've gotten of it, we see these deceased hillbillies around a table, and then you've got one of the generators all weeded over, and the layout is a bit different from the original farm. So you've got generally the same things in it, but things are just slightly warped and slightly different. There is now an underground section as well, but we don't know how much is going to be accessible in the survival version itself. But I'm really looking forward to trying out this map, and of course the other survival maps will be releasing post-launch as well. Probably not all of the points of interest, but at least some of them. So I cannot wait to play it. I can't believe we're playing Black Ops 7 Zombies next week. Now at Call of Duty Next they're playing the full Ashes of the Damned, well, only some of the points of interest, 6 out of the 8, and they're limited to 30 game matches, so that's a bit disappointing. I hope too much doesn't get spoiled from that, but hopefully the game limit will prevent that. But I do wish they just got to play farm especially because we're going to be able to play it ourselves a couple days after then. I think it's kind of needless to show the full map. Leave some surprises for once, especially because the blog has revealed so much already about the game. And it does appear that you can get the wonder weapon, the Necrofluid gauntlet, even on the farm survival map from the mystery box. Presumably there's no quest for it and you can just get it at random, probably quite rare. Great news, I'm glad that it's going to be on the survival maps as well, and hopefully it is actually a formidable wonder weapon even on those high rounds. And this way, if you don't want to play the main map and have to do the quest, you can jump into this and experience what it's like this way. And the Zombies operators are going to be locked in the beta, so you're not going to be able to play as Richtofen, for example. I'm guessing this is because they don't want dialogue spoiling any of the storyline information, but it's going to be very weird at launch when we're able to play as them in multiplayer. It doesn't really fit the vibes, especially in the futuristic setting. I just hope that all of the dialogue doesn't leak from the files of the game, or the full Easter egg potentially leaks from Ashes of the Damned, because we know how they usually are with protecting their IP, and usually the betas leak out so much, so I'm hoping they have it all under the wraps, but don't really have much faith in that. So honestly, almost everything might end up leaking from the beta, which has me very concerned. We have more details on the farm survival map. So this is a focused, bite-sized experience set on the Van Dorn family farm that lies within the larger Round-Based Zombies map. This is just a taste of the main event waiting for you in Ashes of the Damned, providing an opportunity to jump in and simply slay some zombies with no distractions. In survival, you, and optionally your teammates, venture within the perimeter of a map. In this case, the farmstead, and hold out for as long as possible. There are fewer places to run, Old Tessie is out of commission, and tactical positioning is the key to deepening the undead forces at bay. So yeah, you can see where the Pack-a-Punch is on this barn, where Juggernog was in the original barn. Now there is the Wunderfizz, and you can see the mystery box light there. So you do need to turn on power in this, so it's not going to be as straightforward, but apparently it's going to be pretty simple, as apparently all you're going to need to do is interact with a digger, and during the process you'll have to protect it from zombies while destroying yellow or green objectives, and the map will only have a total of 5 perks. So there's going to be a little power process on the survival maps. Power won't just be automatically on, there won't just be a switch you have to turn on, but it's going to be very simple to do. Kind of similar to on the main map, where to turn on power it's essentially kind of like the Origins generators, where there's going to be a different power location, a generator at each of the points of interest. So any accessible caches or machines available in the standard mode appear in an identical location in survival mode. Any other interactive craftable tables, wall buys or machines not in the standard mode area of the map are moved into the survival maps, allowing you to be fully tooled up, provided you've got the necessary essence and salvage. For example, in standard mode, Van Dorn Farm doesn't have a Pack-a-Punch or the Wunderfizz machine, so both are dropped into the survival mode variant. So yeah, everything you need to survive is going to be there. I wonder how difficult this mode is going to be. I really am glad that survival modes are back, you know, especially because Ashes of the Damned does seem like quite a complex map. There's a lot of setup needed. I'm not going to want to just jump in and do all of that every single game. Probably not even commonly. Most of the time, I'm just going to want to boot into the game and start shooting zombies and start progressing the round straight away. And this is going to be that option. And I think people felt the same with Transit. The survival maps and Newtown were a lot more played because you can just jump in and play. And I think it's going to be the same case with Black Ops 7 Zombies. So I'm glad they're bringing back survival maps. It does suck there's only one there at release though, but at least they'll be drip fed to us throughout the post-launch. But they really needed at least a few on launch in my opinion. But nevertheless, there's going to be a lot post-launch. I'm just hoping that all of the points of interest really do make it and we don't end up getting a limited amount. The next point of interest is Blackwater Lake. Now this one is one of the most exciting points of interest. The description says tormented phantoms and a drowning in the dark waters. A single act of horror is remembered across an afterlife of guilt. So this features this pyramid that is floating above a lake that Panos talked about with the Great Voice, which is of course the cowboy villain that stole the essence from the original characters in the intro cutscene. And I'm really excited to learn the backstory of all of these points of interest. You can see that there is a film tape being played, and this obviously has really dark lore behind this cabin. Some kind of murder, etc. went down here, and that's going to be a common theme I think of a lot of these points of interest. They've all been ripped into the dark ether from across time and space, from either the old multiverse or even the new universe. And of course we know that tragedy weakens the dark ether veils, so that's probably going to be why some of these places have ended up there. We then have Ashwood, a frontier town sunken into a rift, overrun and its inhabitants massacred in a war of a bygone era. The dead more than memories here. Now this has me really excited for this point of interest because I think this has to do with the Warden, the Great Voice, who steals the essence of the characters, because I've been speculating about who his identity is in prior videos, videos, and I've said, although it's been heavily suggested he may be Jeb Brown, the Pack-a-Punch creator, I think he's probably someone from the new universe or even the old multiverse that was a cowboy and he got sucked into the Dark Ether. Well, maybe not just he, but the entire town he resided in, Ashwood, got sucked into the Dark Ether and he came along with it. And the skybox looks so cool. There's blood writing saying we're all sinners, and you can see one of the generators here as well for power, which I'll come on to later. And this is this old western town, very reminiscent of Buried, but there's a lot of stuff on fire here, and I think this is where he came from, and I think this is where we're going to learn the most about who he actually is as a person, find out why he's here and what he wants. We then have Exit 115, which is essentially a new version of Diner from the original Transit, but it's not exactly the same. It's a different diner. You've literally got floating cars and signposts. I love the vibe of this map. It looks so creepy. The atmosphere is so much better than all of the other experiences we've been getting in the Dark Ether saga so far. I'm so excited for this. Once thriving, this rest stop and crumbling freeway overpass was torn from its original location. There are faint echoes of a doomed confrontation. Only desperation and betrayal remain. So again, some bad things happened here before it got sucked into the Dark Ether. These could literally just be alternative versions of Green Run from alternative dimensions in the old multiverse, or maybe even from the new timeline. We really don't know. Then we have Zarya Cosmodrome, which is Ascension essentially, but like I said, it seems to just be the launch multiplayer map inspired off of that, which was inspired by Campaign Mission where Weaver got his eye gouged out of all things. I highly doubt the writers even remember that to have a reference to him in the dialogue, but we'll have to see about that. But they do have PhD Flopper here, a really cool reference to the original Ascension. I really hope this is one of the locations that releases as its own survivor map, because that would be so much fun. It's perfectly fitting. The description says, those hearing voices before reaching this world now speak of betrayal, sabotage, and scientific hubris. Greed and darker influences have prevented an ascension. So it's possible that this map ties into the rumored Space Station DLC map, and maybe ties into Group 935, because Group 935 is seen on Richtofen's arm, and it's seen on some of the lunar pads, etc. So I wonder what this alternative Group 935 from this version where the Nazis won, presumably due to their increased power, did, and maybe this version of Ascension essentially got sucked in from another universe, the same one where Richthofen is from, where they won World War II. We then have the Fog. Referred to simply as the Fog, much of the traversal roads, some with additional areas of investigation such as a grounded ship or a forest of monoliths, are blanketed in a layer of foreboding mist. Transportation is advised through these shrouded areas, as only the bravest or most foolhardily venture through these areas on foot. And this looks so creepy. It's sort of blending the vibe of the Tomb's Dark Ether Nexus and some of the other areas together. You can see the floating pyramid here once again from another angle, and you've got again these prima materia spores. There's a sign that says failure of the fog, and we have what looks to be the same ship from Shipment that was in Warzone, and there's all these really creepy Dark Ether crystals. Once again, I cannot stress enough, the mysterious vibe of this map is so foreboding and scary. This is just unlike what we've been getting in Zombies lately, and I'm so glad that they're moving in this direction, and I hope this progresses in all of the DLC maps, which judging from the rumors, they will be, because this is so much more in line with what Zombies needs and feels so much more unique to Zombies, and this map would be so cool as an Outbreak experience as well. But yeah, we'll mostly be going through the fog on the Wonder Vehicle. Tessie, don't expect a gradual increase in difficulty if you decide to run through fog-laden areas. Skill and preparation are needed before venturing here, and overstaying your welcome in these zones may result in a significantly challenging environment. Enemies here seem to be far more powerful, appearing more rapidly and moving at faster speed. While you are dealing with this increased threat, watch your step. Explosive growths are also lurking in the fog. So let's go over the new old Tessie. Ashes of the Damned has a deadly network of roadways to travel between its main locations. Fortunately for you, there's a rusting pickup truck nearby that looks tough enough to withstand an undead battering, though it isn't quite battle ready yet. So this is going to be how we're going to be able to go from section to section, but unlike the transit bus, which was very linear, you are going to be able to drive at your own pace, at your own discretion. And we have another look at the farm here. The Dark Ether areas are back to help you turn on power, which I'll get onto. This truck is tough, but it isn't impervious to the forces of the Dark Ether, and after severe battering, it can become temporarily inoperable. Keep an eye on its reinforced steel frame and react accordingly if old Tessie needs a pit stop. Methods to repair this Wonder Vehicle remain to be seen. So yeah, yeah, it can get damaged and you do need to repair it, which I'm hoping that isn't an annoying process, or at least can be avoided easily. And you can upgrade it as well. You can literally attach T.E.D. onto it, which can help navigate us, and apparently they're good old friends from the Dark Ether. It's been implied in the intel drops that T.E.D. was sent into the Dark Ether at the ending of Tag to Totem, and he's been in here surviving for a long time successfully, and he's presumably gotten to have a literal relationship with Tessie, which we know we can upgrade it in many ways, such as attaching the abomination heads onto the front of it to protect you. You can get the DG2 attached on the top to shoot the zombies with, and there's various different upgrades you can do with it via different Easter eggs. So those who explore carefully enough may even discover a series of upgrades to improve their chances of survival, from a familiar former bus driver's head to a mountable DG2 turret. So there is a lot going on with this map, and I think it sounds really great. I'm just hoping that a lot of these processes are not too tedious, because I can imagine a scenario where they are, especially where the map is so big. If there's different parts and different steps you have to get to that are very far apart, and even if upgrading the vehicle itself could be a tedious process, but we'll just have to see how Treyarch handle things. Nowadays, they make everything very streamlined and simple, but we're not exactly sure if that's going to be the case again here. Now let's go over the new wonder weapon, the Necrofluid gauntlet. So I'm so excited for this wonder weapon because it seems so unique, unlike many of the wonder weapons we've been seeing recently, which many have just been returning wonder weapons that might have been changed, such as they had the Elemental Raygun Mark IIs on Shard Vale, and then even the new wonder weapons that we got in Black Ops 6 Zombies weren't that great in my opinion. They weren't that unique, but this time this wonder weapon looks so visually cool, and gameplay wise it's so cool as well. So in addition to blasting maggot sacks to atoms with the classic Raygun and Mark II, so both are going to be available in Black Ops 7 Zombies on launch. I'm great about that. I'm glad that they're not just drip feeding the Raygun Mark II again to us post launch, as most of the Black Ops 6 content will be there at launch. There's a brand new wonder weapon to wield in Ashes of the Damned. So yeah, I doubt there's any other wonder weapons than this. I mean, technically the DG2 is there, but it's only a part of the vehicle. Maybe there's a way to detach it. But anyways, upon discovery, the Necrofluid gauntlet is a black skull-fanged glove that glows with a bilious greenish hue. An ancient artifact seems to be deadly at both melee and long ranges. Its umbral surface, veins choked by a vicious liquid that the gauntlet seems to control. In fact, the entire weapon seems alive and hungry. So I'm glad that this weapon is literally alive, a being from the Dark Ether. I think this is always the best sort of wonder weapons, and it's what Treyarch have been doing a lot lately with the Beam Smasher being alive or the Gorg effects. I'm hoping they have good lore for this though, because they never really explain the Gorg effects on Reckoning, for example. The Apothecary Servant has really cool lore behind it, which made it so cool, so I'm hoping there's some cool storyline behind this. Command the gauntlet, and the dark liquid can be reshaped into powerful spikes that shoot forth, skewering targets at range before being summoned back into the gauntlet, inflicting further damage. It's rumored that the Necrofluid gauntlet has vampiric tendencies and can also pull in items and power-ups from a distance. So excited for that, and it has all of this mysterious writing on it as well. I'm wondering what that translates to. But yeah, it's literally like an Iron Man glove in a way, kind of similar to the Gauntlet of Siege 3 on Gorod Covey. It was actually meant to have a cut upgrade process for a literal Iron Man suit on the map, which I've made some videos on, so this is kind of a bit of a homage to that. But let's go over the enemy types that we're going to see in Ashes of the Damned. So first things first, the map is apparently going to have a lot of sprinter zombies. However, Treyarch have apparently said there's going to be less in the post-launch maps, and the only reason there's more on this map is because it's such a large map. They needed to have them to accommodate for that. So I would imagine there's going to be a lot of complaints about that, but it will be toned down for the post-launch maps, and probably the survival maps is not going to be as crazy as that because there won't be as open spaces. But let's go over some of the enemies. So we have the base zombies and the armored zombies. I really like the designs they've got for them as well. Yeah, they don't really need to be explained, but they are nerfing the armored zombies a bit, which I'll come on to later with the gameplay changes. But let's go over one of the new enemy types, which are the Ravagers. So these are kind of like the denizens or the bios from the Call of Duty Zombies comics. Said to be a tortured minion of an unknown evil, the Ravager prowls the Dark Ether on all fours, usually in packs, lurking in the shadows until the moment it can strike. So they're kind of like the Nosferatus from Dead of the Night, or little werewolf type things like little vampires. Very common in the fog, and they'll chase you if you are in the Wonder Vehicle. Drawn to material spoils, the creature consumes salvage and other dropped provisions, a habit that can directly impact your survival in the field. So I can imagine that can be quite annoying and giving you a reason to actually pick up the loot straight away. That's a really cool, unique feature that they've introduced for them to change things up a little bit. Packs of Ravagers are especially dangerous, overwhelming squads with relentless flurries of sharp-clawed wounding. more than just scavengers. Ravagers can also latch onto moving vehicles even at high speed. So it seems like they're not going to be much of a threat to us. They're mainly going to be annoying, but they do hunt in packs, so maybe they can overwhelm you in that case, but it seems like they're going to be more of a threat when you're trying to use the Wonder Vehicle and get around. They're basically, like I say, the equivalent of the denizens when you were in the fog. But the new elite enemy is the thing I'm most excited for, because it's officially called the Zursa, and it's a literal zombie bear. Treyarch are just going all out with this game. I feel like Zombies has gotten very generic, and they're making things a lot cooler again and a lot more unique once again. A zombie bear, how cool is that? It completely fits the vibe of the map, the creepy atmosphere, and it literally has beehives on it and honey. So insane. I'm so happy with the vibes that I'm getting from Black Ops 7 Zombies. Of course, we're going to have to wait and see how it actually plays itself, but so far, from just a visual perspective and a unique perspective, this is what Zombies has been missing for so many years. An apex predator twisted by the dark ether, the Zursa is no ordinary bear, but a hulking, undead monstrosity whose thick hide and parasitic infestations make it an elite level threat. Driven by madness and aggression, it mauls with bite and claw strikes that not only deal heavy damage but also wound victims, leaving them vulnerable to lingering harm until they recover. And you can see the death animation for it, so cool. This confirms the death animations are back for Black Ops 7 Zombies. I wonder if the regular zombies etc are just going to have the same death animations as Black Ops 6, or if they're going to make unique ones. I would assume the same, especially because they've been developed back to back. It's probably not something the top of the list to get done. When the Zursa roars into combat, expect it to charge in on all fours, battering through teams or slamming into old Tessie. So yeah, that's going to be a major hassle, something to try and avoid when we are driving the Wonder Vehicle, as if its raw strength weren't enough, the Zursa is host to parasitic insects, so-called zombies that swarm from hive-like growths infesting the beast's fur and skin. These clouds of stinging death and add chaos to an already fraught fight. So yeah, it has these infections with bees that will attack us when we shoot them, but they're going to be the weak spots I guess we have to inflict. I'm surprised they didn't just use the parasites for them, but it shows they're being a lot more unique for this game. I don't know where all of that was in Black Ops 6 with the repeated enemy types, but I'm glad they're finally changing. It's just a shame that Black Ops 6 has been shafted in many ways when that was marketed as the big 4-year game, but then suddenly we're jumping ship to Black Ops 7, but I digress. I think that's why people are kind of feeling a bit bummed out with the game, even though it's doing all of the right things, at least zombies-wise. People just don't like how Black Ops 6 was treated in many ways. When taken on alone, the Zursa is a towering menace amid other threats. It becomes a mauling engine of devastation. But let's go over the changes to the enemies in the game from Black Ops 6. So there's going to be some changes to the audio cues. Expect to hear a special round audio stinger when zombies' strength increases as the rounds progress. A nice little quality of life improvement, not anything crazy, but that's a nice little change. There are going to be fewer super sprinters. The fast moving zombies which start to appear at higher rounds will increase in frequency at a lower rate as rounds continue past 55, and the maximum number of super sprinter zombies in a round will be lowered slightly while still keeping the challenge high. And like I said earlier, there's going to be less sprinting zombies on the other DLC maps compared to Ashes of the Damned. Now there's going to be some changes to the armored zombies, like I said earlier. So heavy and light armored zombies are weighed down by their protective skeletal armor and are slower and more durable. Armored zombies no longer super sprint in higher rounds. Awesome. They shouldn't have been anyways. They should be slower considering they're wearing heavy armor. Overall, zombie armor is more easily destroyed, but more durable against explosive splash damage. Certain weapons and attachment combinations are more effective at armored zombie takedowns. So this is great. People really complained about armored zombies in Black Ops 6. This seems a lot more in line and easier to deal with, and we'll have to see how it actually is in the beta. We then have sliding knockdowns. Sliding into normal zombies knocks it down, but doesn't inflict a lot of damage. So they're going to be changing that, I guess. So I'm not sure what this is referring to here. Is this just referring to normal sliding knockdowns, or is it referring to specifically with PhD slider? I think it's referring to normally, so now we might be able to regularly knock them down without having PhD slider, but it's only going to be like a stun thing. It'll help you get out of situations like you can with PhD slider, but it's not really going to damage them. Anyways, now let's go over the jump pads. So like I said earlier, they are made by Group 935. I wonder what the storyline reason is going to be for that. Have they been, sending people into the dark ether from that dimension where Richtofen is from, and that's how these pads got in here? I'm not exactly sure. Once power has been restored to the local area you've navigated around, aside from bringing some illumination to the horrors you are confronting, you can also investigate several mysterious tentacle marvels across Ashes of the Damned known as jump pads. So this is really going to make traversing a lot easier, even though we have the Wonder Vehicle. They allow for rapid navigation, as they allow players to navigate across the vast landscape of the map rather than brave the thoroughfares of the hellscape. Jumping off point for a normal essence fee that's comparable to an inexpensive door buy. You interact with the jump pad console, which may have more than one destination available, and choose your landing spot. Landing pads. You are then instantaneously launched into the sky, traveling in a vast arc over the map and landing at a second landing pad in the chosen location. Tactical repositioning. Jump pads are useful in a variety of situations, like assembling a team in a hurry, navigating without the need for alt Tessie, or quickly returning to a previously explored locale to obtain a valuable item like a self-revive kit or perk. So yeah, this map really is a hybrid of transit and revelations. Just like the jump pads there, you can jump between the places or you can move around with the vehicle. Now let's go into the Saw Blade Trap. Survivalists lost in time to the Dark Ether seem to have gathered a variety of junk equipment and fashioned it into a viciously effective chimera of a trap. A small plastic doll sat on 3 megaphones, below which is a chainsaw with circular saw blades embedded into it, attached to a vehicle engine and connected to a power switch. I've seen some people saying these survivors could be the Victor's crew that got sent into the Dark Ether. Maybe, we will have to see, but of course the points of interest I discussed earlier very much could be those survivors. Flip that switch by expending essence and a haunting beat complete with soft wailing sounds wafts through the ether. The eerie music attracts the zombies. Like the monkey bomb, the multi-bladed chainsaw brings the carnage, and any nearby undead foe gets minced into offal. So let's go over the various modes in Black Ops 7 Zombies. So there's going to be 4 modes on launch. So first of all, we're going to have the standard mode, which can be played on Ashes of the Damned, or the survival version of FAM. Directed mode is also going to be back, like we saw throughout Black Ops 6 Zombies, a streamlined path where clear objectives and guided progression keep you locked on the main quest, an experience that's much more approachable for new players or those chasing story-driven completion. They say expect Directed to launch after Standard in a similar cadence to Black Ops 6, so it's not going to be there on the launch, it'll probably be there in Season 1 or Season 1 Reloaded, so that people have had a decent amount of time to complete the Ashes of the Damned Easter egg before Directed is available. Survival mode is there as well, delivering a focused, unfiltered experience based on small parts of the Ashes of the Damned map, but FAM is only there on launch, with the rest coming later. There are no main quests other than you and your squad surviving against the relentless undead for as long as you can. But let's go over the most exciting thing for Black Ops 7 Zombies, which is the new Cursed mode, which is essentially the rumoured classic mode that's been rumoured ever since before Black Ops 6 Zombies even released, and it's never released at all, and that's because Treyarch have actually done a lot more to introduce a classic mode than just straight up releasing it, because they're implementing it in a much more nuanced way. Take on a new experience featuring some legacy mechanics with numerous side quests to unearth increasingly potent and cursed relics. Activate these relics to face harder challenges in exchange for new levels of power, replayability, and rewards. So whilst Directed mode is for more casual players to be able to enjoy their Easter eggs, Cursed mode is for the hardcore players, because this is going to be a much harder way to play zombies that's more akin to how zombies used to be. However, I would assume things like the way the zombies move and stuff like that is not going to be balanced and adjusted for this mode, so it's going to be a lot more difficult than classic zombies where they didn't hit you as rapidly, you didn't have as many zombies on the maps, for example. So it's going to be a lot more difficult, and I really do wonder how Treyarch balance the mode over the course of the year, whether it's going to be supported and balanced as consistently as the regular mode, or whether it might get left to the dust depending on how well the community reception is. I'm sure if it doesn't have that many players, it might not be as successful or as well supported. I think a lot is going to be resting on that, but this is what the community has been wanting. This way you can play however you want. There's a harder version for you, you've got the regular version, you've got the Directed version, it's absolutely amazing. Tailor-made for the hardcore, crafted for those seeking a more demanding experience, with new layers of challenge to discover and overcome to access unique rewards. This is one of Black Ops 7 Zombies' biggest innovations, directly inspired from feedback from the Zombies community that we have been begging for so long. So you cannot even access Cursed mode until you have fulfilled certain criteria. So they have announced separately, which for some reason is not detailed in the blog, that you will apparently unlock Cursed mode upon completion of the main quest.
We have survival maps for casual players, we have Directed mode for our beginner players, we have Cursed mode for the hardcore players.
Cursed mode is really about focusing on our most engaged players and giving them additional challenges. The idea is that once you finish the main quest on a map, we unlock these things that we call relics, And so you're choosing how you want to make the mode harder, but by making the mode harder, you're also going to be opening up a lot of new content. We're actually going to increase your power levels. There's also some Easter eggs that are only going to be discoverable when you're engaged in cursed mode. We're not holding back this year. I don't think players are going to be ready for what they're about to experience.
However, I don't know if that's going to be map specific. Of course, you're only going to have Ashes of the Damned's quest available at launch. Do you just complete that and then you unlock cursed mode for Ashes of the Damned, and then for the DLCs, are the cursed variants going to automatically be unlocked, or will you have to individually complete each of the quests to be able to then play cursed mode for them? And then they also went on to say on Twitter, you'll need to unlock Curse to do so, which they won't say how, even though they implied to unlock the relics you need to complete the Easter egg. So was that referring to completing the Easter egg on Curse specifically to then be able to unlock the relics? Because if so, that's a very long, tedious process. If you have to find a way to unlock Curse mode in the first place, then to begin to even unlock the relics, you can't even find them by default anyways. You first have to complete the Easter egg again on Cursed and then find the relics. That's a long process, so I hope that's not the case. I don't really understand. No, yes, technically, Kevin Drew just said beating the main quest unlocks relics, but we don't know if that was referring to the fact of beating the main quest in Curse specifically then unlocks relics, because as far as we're aware, I think relics are just in the Curse mode itself and not part of the standard mode. But maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe there's specific relics to be able to unlock the mode per map in the first place, but then there's specific relics in terms of Curse mode. I guess we're just gonna have to wait if they drop a Curse blog at some point, or just leave this a secret for launch, I guess, but right now it's a bit confusing. Now, things are getting even more confusing, because according to the leaker Alex, as it turns out, you do just unlock Cursed mode for completing the main quest on the map, which is what we were thinking Kevin Drew was on about anyways, but then Treyarch say on Twitter, well, it's still a secret, but then it's not actually. So who's telling the truth? What's going on? Why is there still so much miscommunication with all of Treyarch's reveals? It seems they just word everything so weirdly. There's contradictions between the blogs, their tweets, what they say in the intel drops, what YouTubers are told at the events. It's just an absolute mess. They need to better their communication so it's a lot clearer. I don't think they should be telling any YouTubers any exclusive information that the public is not privy to, because I think that's also causing a lot of confusion, especially when so many things could be misquoted, misremembered, or stuff that's subject to change. I can understand why they are locking it behind a certain thing, because obviously there's a bunch of casuals that don't want Curse mode to be so difficult, and will complain if they just jump in from the menu of the game and they find it way too hard. It is called Cursed after all, so this is meant to be a literal Curse mode, way more challenging. It's in the name. I think there's pros and cons to this. Of course, hardcore players who want to play this version of the mode are going to be completing those main quests anyways, but at the same time, there's a lot of fans who want to play this old version of Zombies and they don't really like the modern version of Zombies that might want to jump into this straight away, but then they're not even going to be given the opportunity to play it. So honestly, I hope at some point post-launch they just give it to everyone, unlock straight away. I understand they're trying to give it as a reward for hardcore players, because this is what we've been asking for throughout Black Ops 6 Zombies, or for Zombies for a very long time, more rewards for hardcore players, especially when casuals have been catered towards so much throughout, you know, Cold War Zombies, etc. However, I think the reason for this is because this is not going to be like classic Zombies. It's going to be a lot more difficult. I really do think so. I think this is going to be very, very challenging, because things are not going to be properly adjusted for it. As a result, it's not going to be something they want to just give to everyone to jump in and play, because it's going to be very difficult, at least if you have all of the different adjustments turned on, because basically there's going to be different things you can turn on and off with the relic system. So once you have unlocked the mode, your focus is on finding archaic artifacts of great power hidden away across dark ether, time and space. These are known as relics, each one themed around a totem from Black Ops Zombies' history. Every relic has a unique condition to discover it, and the requirements needed can be unforgiving. So basically they're going to be relics from the past, from the ether story, or I guess even potentially the dark ether story past the Zombies games. So I don't know, they're probably going to be things memorable to us, like, I don't know, the summoning key or the classic pack-a-punch, the Vril device, I don't know, things along those lines. And there's going to be Easter eggs across the map to be able to find these relics. However, they've given kind of misleading information on this, because I don't really understand what exactly they mean, because in the intel things they've talked about relics being able to be unlocked upon completion of the main quests to unlock Curse mode, but then they've also talked about relics that can only be accessed in the Curse mode itself. said, the curse mode is not one thing. There's going to be many different relics you can apply to your match, so this is going to provide so much replay value to Black Ops 7 Zombies because there's going to be a million different ways and combinations of the different relics to complete the main quest. This isn't basically just a classic mode, it's a very hardcore mode, and I think that's what people are not really understanding. It's going to be very, very, very difficult with having all of these things applied. For example, the Perca-Colas, a limit of 4 is going to be extremely difficult. Now, they are actually changing it so you can get random perk power-ups just from regular power-ups, but it's going to be very rare, so I'm guessing in this mode that's how you get more perks, which is an amazing change. And you know, the classic point system is going to be amazing, just using an SMG, spraying and praying to get loads of points. This is the best of both worlds. The game is having really something there for all types of players. As to how this is executed though is yet to be seen. I don't know how this is going to play. I've got a feeling people are not going to like it, honestly, just because it might be too challenging in all honesty. Because I think a lot of people who are asking for classic zombies to be back, they might be wanting something a bit more challenging than regular zombies, but maybe not as difficult as classic mode is going to be with the curse mode. Because like I said, I don't think things like the way the zombies move is going to be balanced for it. So I think it's going to be very, very hard. Now, yes, you can argue, well, you don't need to apply all the relics. You can mix and match which you want. For example, if you don't want the perk limit, you don't need to apply that relic. And yes, that is true, but some people might want exactly how classic zombies is, but not want, you know, all of the other caveats with, you know, the way the zombies move or the other different zombie systems. So I don't think this is going to please all fans who have been wanting a classic zombies vibe, because not all fans who want classic zombies back are necessarily the best players. They might be a bit better than the average zombies player nowadays, because it's definitely easier, especially in the earlier rounds. But yeah, we'll have to see. We need more details about this to truly make sense of it all. Now, in the blog, there is an image as well that depicts a wall buy without any rarity. So it's possible that either by default in the curse mode, there is no weapon rarity, or there is a relic that you can get that then has no weapon rarities at all, which would make it a lot more challenging. Now, I don't know if it would just be rebalanced, so the only way to level up your weapons is Pack-a-Punch, but Pack-a-Punch might be stronger in the mode, or they're literally just going to have the Pack-a-Punch and no weapon rarities, making it a lot more difficult. Maybe the relic for this wall buy one is literally just finding a classic wall buy somewhere on the map, maybe even this one depicted in the shot. And I guess the way this is implemented will depend whether it makes the game harder or easier, because they could just buff Pack-a-Punch so it effectively is like the merger of the weapon rarity system and the regular Pack-a-Punch. That way there's no need for the weapon rarities anyways, which probably should be how the default game should be anyways. Or they could keep Pack-a-Punch the same, in which if they remove the rarities, all of the weapons are going to be way more challenging. So it really depends how this is implemented as to what effect it makes on the game. Or they could just make all of the weapons by default just do more damage, removing the need of a weapon rarity, and then there's just the Pack-a-Punch system. And no rarities could just be a relic, or it could be a part of the base mode. So loadouts are going to be back in Black Ops 7 Zombies, but won't be available in Cursed as well. It's pretty much going to function the same, but there's going to be some changes. So weapons you construct in the Gunsmith now have an associated build code that you can both share with friends or import using a code you see someone using. So this is going to be great just for ease of access. You know, if you have a loadout, you can just share it to a friend nice and easily. There are going to be 30 weapons to level up and unlock at launch, with many post-launch, of course. Weapon Prestige is back. Support weapons are going to be back as well, but there's going to be a new Disciple injection, like the Mutant injection. There's going to be some weapon melee adjustments. There's a beneficial change coming to melee weapons in Black Ops 7, allowing them to inflict critical and more damaging attacks, allowing for much more personality with every melee you can use, which they go on to detail later in the blog, but this is making Melee Macchiato a lot more useful. Now let's go over some new and returning features. So Essence and Salvage is going to be back. Don't really need to explain all of that, but let's go over some of the changes different to Black Ops 6. So Gobblegums can now be recycled to receive instant additional essence. The amount you receive is determined by the Gobblegum rarity. So this is great, a great way to get some essence and get rid of those Gobblegums that you don't want to use. The salvage bonus from certain silencer attachments that perform similarly to the Black Ops 6 counterparts have been lowered, so other muzzle attachments become a valid choice. Amassing missing salvage: if you find salvage hard to come by, expect some help in this regard. Every 10 rounds you are awarded around 50% of any salvage you've previously missed picking up, and which subsequently disappeared, along with an on-screen message indicating this good fortune. So yeah, that's a great change. Honestly, I wish those salvage would just be automatically picked up. It is kind of a bit annoying always having to run over it, but yeah, these are some cool quality of life changes. Now let's go over the power-ups. So they will spawn in randomly on the map, of course, or via specific Gobblegums, and there's apparently going to be some Easter eggs to get some, to be expected. But the power-ups available are just pretty much all the ones you would expect: insta-kill, double points, max ammo, nuke, fire sale, scale, bonus points, full power, max armor. But this time, like I said before, there's now going to be a random perk power-up that you can get, but it's going to be very rare and give you a perk that you do not own. This is such a great change. And like I said, it's going to be perfect for survival mode and especially the classic mode. But let's go over the changes to power-ups. So the max armor now fills your equipment as well as your ammunition. Fire sale now temporarily reduces the cost of traps and war buys. Again, another amazing change. Now, even though the random perk power-up can randomly spawn in now, a certain number of perks must be purchased by all teammates before the power-up can appear. So we don't know what that number is. They're probably still trying to balance that, but it's probably going to be different depending on how many players are in your game, I would assume. But I've got a feeling, say if you're in a 4-player game, all the players in your game need at least 4 perks to be able to start getting that. We'll have to see though. Apparently they're going to be increasing the chance of multiple power-ups randomly spawning in a round being more frequent. There's a new Gobblegum power vacuum that increases the chances of power-ups spawning after zombie kills. This was of course in Black Ops 3, they're bringing it back. Any Gobblegums that summon power-ups like Killjoy, On the House, Hidden Power now automatically activate the power-ups they summon, adjusting the tactics of when to employ them and removing the need to physically run into them. So loads of quality of life changes there. There are a few that aren't that great, but overall this is going to massively streamline the mode. And so many of these little tweaks here and there are going to really change up the mode to make it feel very different from Black Ops 6, even though a lot of the systems are similar. We'll have to see, of course, with the beta how everything actually feels and plays when we get to play it, and we can of course give feedback, and then hopefully they can make some changes based on whatever we feel like. So almost everything from Black Ops 6 Zombies is going to be transferring over to Black Ops 7 Zombies on launch. Now there's some things that are going to be held back for Season 1, which I'll come onto in a second, but all 11 of the Black Ops 6 Zombies perks are going to be available at launch with a new perk which is Wisp T, and most of the ammo mods and field upgrades are going to be available, with some being postponed for Season 1. So for ammo mods, Brain Rot, Napalm Burst, Shadow Rift, Deadwire and Cryo Freeze will be there at launch, and also Fireworks is returning that we haven't seen since Black Ops 3 for some weird reason, but I'm glad it's finally back. Field upgrades, Toxic Growth, Dark Flare, Healing Aura, Frenzied Guard, Energy Mine and Ether Shroud will all be there at release, and all of the augments are going to be transferring over from Black Ops 6 to Black Ops 7, but there's going to be some slight adjustments, tunes and tweaks, so you will have to learn some new tricks. So all of the 6 augments will be there, but there's going to be 2 brand new augments, 1 major and 1 minor for every single item as well, but you won't need to re-unlock all of the augments that you've done from Black Ops 6, that will all transfer over. And if you research all 8 augments in your research diagram, you can then unlock the extra slot minor augment, which enables you to equip a second minor augment in-game. Therefore, once you fully research a specific perk, ammo mod, field upgrade, etc., in Black Ops 7 you have a total of 8 augments, with 3, 1 major, 2 minor being active during a match. But like I said, there are some ammo mods and field upgrades not there at launch, which are Light Mend and Shatter Blast for the ammo mods, and 3 field upgrades, Tesla Storm, Frost Blast and Mr. Peace, which has literally only just released a Black Ops 6, and they will all apparently be coming, each with 2 new augments and an additional minor augment slot to unlock to bolster your offensive capabilities further during Season 1. So they say during, so we don't know when, if it's going to be at the start or just in Reloaded or both. They're going to be sporadically released. I don't understand why they're holding back Black Ops 6 stuff to then release later in Black Ops 7, but at least it'll all be in Season 1. It doesn't seem like they're going to further drip feed that into the later seasons. I mean, Mr. Peace has literally only just released. Why are they just holding him back and then going to release him a bit later? But I guess they aren't ready yet. They probably haven't designed whatever the new augments are fully. But let's go over the general changes to the augments. So anytime an augment enables an enemy to be charmed, Brain Rot perk is the obvious example. Charmed zombies now avoid slaying the last zombie in the round, allowing you or your teammates to inflict the final blow, especially helpful if you are kitting an enemy while investigating a map more closely. All big game augments for ammo mods will receive a buff to damage or frequency that they trigger. For example, the big game augment for Brain Rot and Napalm Burst ammo mods will now charm or burn elite enemies more frequently. The area of effectiveness, damage types without a hit location like Deadwire's Lightning Strike are no longer automatically considered critical hits or headshots. This also affects equipment and traps. One shot, one chance. Augments that operate on a per shot influence regarding ammunition or weapons that have multiple pellets or an area of effect damage now have a very small cooldown so as to not make them overwhelmingly effective for those weapon types. Augment examples include Dead Again for the Deadshot Daiquiri perk and Critical Eye for the Death Perception perk. A new feature for Black Ops 7 Zombies is Overheal, a modifying buff that allows players to temporarily increase their maximum health using certain augments or equipment. Here's how it works. Enhanced Health. The most you can raise your health by combined augment effects like Juggernaut's Probiotic Augment and the Stim Shot equipment, for example, is plus 100 health above your current health health maximum. Overheal employs specific tactics and you can increase your health still further. This bonus to your health is temporary, meaning unlike your regular health, it does not regenerate over time. The bonus is lost once your current health drops below the normal maximum, but it can be temporarily reacquired. Now later in the blog they mention Juggernog increasing the maximum health from 100 to 250. I think this is just a typo and it's meant to say 150, and they are not just changing it to the regular 4-hit down system. That's crazy. Yeah, this is just a typo, otherwise I would have made note to this in the blog. Let's go over the new perk though, which is Wisp T, as well as all of its augments. So this is essentially Blood Wolf Bite from Black Ops 4 Zombies, if you ever played that, but it's just been reskinned and renamed. I don't know why they couldn't have just kept it like its original, but I digress. I guess this makes it seem brand new, but this perk specializes in adding a protective ethereal creature that remains near the player, appearing only after the player inflicts a large amount of damage to the enemy. Use of field upgrades, equipment, and other high damage items quickens the summoning. Once summoned, the Wisp begins to slay nearby zombies for around 30 seconds. 2 minutes later, it can be summoned again. The Wisp is summoned after defeating a number of zombies. The number is important rather than the speed of slaying, though obviously, the Wisp will appear more quickly if the enemies are killed with haste. The Wisp targets all zombie types indiscriminately. The Wisp also realizes the importance of turning around and will refrain from killing the last zombie remaining. Amazing, this is going to make Easter egg hunting so much fun, especially on such a large map like this. You don't want to have the final zombie just dying, and actually this has been something I have been asking for recently even, and it seems like Treyarch have answered the zombies community's calls, because it's been so annoying how zombies have just been dying out at the end of rounds, and they have been for a while. This is going to be great. But now let's go over the augments. So the major ones are Mask of Wraith, the demon does more damage. Mask of Salvation, the fox can revive you while it's active. This can be done up to 3 times per match. Mask of Distraction, the monkey attracts enemies and does damage in an area. Mask of Benevolence, the maiden does not attack but will periodically heal you. The minor augments are Extension, increase the Wisp's lifetime. Haste, decrease the cooldown before a Wisp can be summoned. Zombie Sitter, the Wisp will attract and avoid damaging the last zombie in the round until the round times out. Fetcher, the Wisp will pick up items and power-ups for you aside from the nuke. Treyarch have also made some changes to the perk and Wunderfizz system. So the base purchase price of perks is based on previously purchased perks, and increases to the price now don't include ones you may have obtained for free using power-ups, Gobblegums, or Easter eggs, for example. So this is fantastic news, as it's just going to make it that much easier to go ahead and purchase all of the perks. In Black Ops 6, though, Wunderfizz became available around 25, but in Black Ops 7 they're changing it, where the arrival is going to be dependent on you and your teammates. It now also arrives after a certain number of perks have been bought, including repurchases by all players. So it's a little unclear what that actually means, but does it mean that you will only get access to it once you access, for example, a particular part of the map where it is? Or maybe you just have to buy a certain amount of perks, for example 4, and then you can just start using the Wunderfizz? I don't know. So specifically, how the Wunderfizz is going to work is it'll only spawn in solo if you buy 4 perks, and cooperative each player buys 3 perks plus 1 perk. It is no longer capped at spawning on round 25. Now considering Treyarch have not officially announced this is just from the YouTubers, it's possible they're still testing this out and it might not be exactly that way on release. But let's go over all of the new augments now. So for Juggernog, there's a new minor augment, which is Iron Core. Your health is increased when all of your armor plates are broken. Pretty cool. A new minor augment is Shake It Off. Incoming damage will occasionally be significantly reduced. There's also been an adjustment to the Turtle Shell major augment, which is armor completely absorbs damage to your back while also now allowing normal damage mitigation to your front. And the Hardened Plates minor augment, now the damage mitigation has been reduced slightly. For PhD Flopper, they've made a crazy change to the PhD Slider major augment, which its effectiveness when sideswiping has been reduced. This augment triggers when impact occurs during the direction of travel. So yeah, they've really nerfed it there, and they've made an adjustment to the Tribologist minor augment, which both the sliding speed increase and general speed bonus have been lessened slightly. The new major augment is Double Whammy, release a second explosion shortly after the first one. The new minor augment is Stuntman, wall jumping creates an explosion. So yes, that's right, wall jumping is in Black Ops 7 Zombies. Now I don't know how prevalent this is going to be. I assume it's not going to be that prevalent, but this is going to be so much fun seeing in Zombies and seeing how you can actually navigate and escape hordes using the wall jumping. But like I say, we really don't know how prevalent it's going to be. We've not seen any gameplay of it, so I don't know how it's actually going to function in Zombies, but judging from multiplayer, it looks really fun, and I'm glad they brought this over to Zombies in some capacity. We had little instances of wall running back back in the day with Der Eisendrache and Shadows of Evil. I always like things like this that just make zombies feel a bit more unique and a bit different to iterations we've seen before. Now let's go over elemental pop. So they've made an adjustment to the Vulneria Bean minor augment as they've lessened it by a modest amount. There's a new major augment which is Rainbow Pop. Weapons with an ammo mod equipped have a chance to deal the elemental damage that an enemy is weak to. The new major augment is Refresh Mint. Killing a special or elite enemy with its elemental weakness resets your elemental pop cooldown. Now Melee Macchiato. They've made a major adjustment. The damage of each punch continues to increase until round 30. The punch itself is faster. Expect different damage multipliers depending on the melee weapon you use. So yes, it's going to be a lot more useful than Black Ops 6. People were like, what was even the point of this perk in Black Ops 6? Well, they've buffed it majorly. And speaking of major, they've also added a new major augment, Mocha Maul. The punch is replaced with your dedicated melee weapon. Another great change here. And we have a new minor augment, which is the Barista Brawl. Gain more essence from melee kills. They've also made an adjustment to the minor augment strength training. The number of rounds you can one-hit kill normal enemies has been increased. Now for Vulture Aid, they've adjusted the Picky Eater minor augment. The chance to drop has been lessened slightly. They've added the new Armor-matic major augment. Picking up an armor plate automatically applies it to your vest. And the Extra Servings minor augment. Special and elite enemies you kill have a chance to drop a large essence vial. Double Tap has the new Double Dealer major augment. Every 4th bullet in your weapon magazine deals double damage. The Double Down minor augment. Bullet weapons have increased penetration damage through enemies. Quick Revive has an adjustment to the EMT major augment. Players with this augment now keep up to 5 of their perks when revived. Great change. They've also made an adjustment to the equivalent exchange. Now you always go into your last stand pose. Quick Revive is no longer removed on use, and you keep all perks if you kill an enemy while downed. The new major augment is Adrenaline Rush. Killing a special or elite enemy will start your health regeneration. The new minor augment is Emergency Medical Kit. You can now craft a self-revive kit up to 4 times. Deadshot Daiquiri has an adjustment to the Dead Again major augment. A slight cooldown has been added. The new major augment is Dead to Rights. Bullets deal bonus damage to enemies within point blank range. The new minor augment is Dead Heat. Temporarily increase your movement speed after getting a point blank kill. Death Perception has an adjustment to the Critical Eye major augment. A slight cooldown has been added and does not work with explosive weapons or wonder weapons. The new major augment is Sixth Sense. See enemies close behind you and take less damage from behind. The new minor augment is Hidden Gems. Death Perception can now see loot. Stamina Up has the new Guns Up major augment, Fire while sprinting, and the new minor augment, Footwork, increase non-forward sprinting speed. Speed Cola has the new Ammo Surge. Major augments gain a burst of speed when initiating a reload, and the minor augment, Prestigitation. Reloading has a chance to not use stock ammo. Now for the ammo mods. So like I said, Fireworks is back from Black Ops 3. Each bullet that hits a normal or special enemy has a chance to launch fireworks that target enemies. Last seen in Black Ops 3, this ammo mod is as brightly coloured as it is deadly, filling the air above and illuminating the nearby combat zone in a fiery light show, leading to a series of firework explosions that detonate and rip the undead apart in a vivid display of wanton violence. As the initial explosive light show has occurred, damaging zombies caught in the vicinity, stars are launched into the skies before exploding. This subsequent explosion launches a set of individual flares from the stars that fly out and hone in on additional random threats within the general vicinity. So it's going to work a bit differently to in Black Ops 3. It's going to be more of a targeted. The chance of fireworks activating depends on the enemy type, and once the light show is over, expect a small cooldown window before it is available. So the major augments are big game. Fireworks can activate on elite enemies, creating a bigger light show. Starburst, fireworks explodes immediately, sending flares through enemies in all directions. Weeping Willow, instead of targeting enemies, the flares will land on the ground and explode for a while. Fire Wheel creates 2 fire wheels that spin around and damage zombies. Minor augments are Starlight, fireworks launch more flares. Big Bang, fireworks, flares deal more damage to special and elite enemies. High Yield, increase the area of effect. Short Fuse, fireworks cooldown is reduced. Now for the returning ammo mod. So Brain Rot is back, but they've made an adjustment. Like I said earlier, Brain Rotted, aka Charmed, zombies will now avoid slaying the last hostile zombie in the round to preserve the turn, allowing players to keep a zombie alive during investigations. They've also made an adjustment to the major augment Big Game. This charms elite enemies more frequently. The new major augment is Caustic Fumes. Charged enemies deal toxic damage to nearby zombies. The new minor augment is Super Serum, increase the damage dealt by charmed enemies. Napalm Burst has an adjustment to the Big Game major augment as well. This burns elite enemies more frequently. The new Petroleum major augment is here as well. Napalm Burst leaves a pool of fire on the ground. The new minor augment is Backdraft, increase the activation radius. Again, Shadow Rift has the adjustment to Big Game. This activation on elite enemies occurs more frequently. There is also the new Gravity Well. well. Major Augment, Shadow Rift becomes a black hole that pulls in enemies before teleporting away nearby enemy survivors. The new minor augment is Ammo Theorem, teleporting enemies away, adds ammo to your weapon magazine from stock. Deadwire has an adjustment to big game again, this stuns elite enemies sooner, and there's the new Ball Lightning Major Augment. Activating Deadwire launches an orb that deals electric damage to nearby enemies as it moves. There's the new minor augment Aftershock, enemies that are stunned by Deadwire have a chance to spread to nearby enemies. Cryofreeze again has the adjustment to the big game Major Augment, this slows elite enemies more frequently. They've made an adjustment to Ice Cloud, a cooldown has been employed to adjust and lessen the number of ice clouds appearing. There is the new Major Augment Cold Company, Cryofreeze has a chance to activate on more than one enemy at a time, and the new minor augment is Thermal Stalk, enemies are damaged once they are unfrozen. Now for the field upgrades. So Toxic Growth is returning, but it's not going to be exactly how it was before. Supporting a more defensive playstyle and extremely useful if you are guarding a narrower entry point from an advancing horde, Toxic Growth allows you to deploy a thicket of viciously sharp thorns that have additional benefits of being poisonous. Hold down and block pathways and or incoming enemies with the latest in mutant plant life. Add a powerful improvement to your capabilities that inflicts toxic damage. This bush of vines grows rapidly on the ground with a specific width, height and depth to learn the dimensions of to aid in tactical placement. Enemies that move through Toxic Growth are slowed as they are poisoned and torn apart as the Toxic Growth weakens before finally disintegrating after time or after inflicting a set amount of damage. Toxic Growth doesn't harm you or your teammates. No more than 3 Toxic Growths can be active at once. So the major augments are Urticant or Urticant, however you pronounce it. Toxic Growth takes up a wider area and enemies that enter the growth continue to be slowed after leaving it. Cordyception, the first normal or special enemy to walk into the growth, is entangled and charmed, attacking other enemies that enter. Pollination, enemies killed by the growth explode, dealing toxic damage to nearby enemies and slowing them. Zukuri, the first normal or special enemy to walk into the growth, becomes the toxic growth itself. The minor augments are Ankle Shredder, enemies moving through the growth are even slower. Green Thumb significantly increases the toxic growth health. Extra Charge increases max charges by 1. Plant Food, killing enemies with toxic growth, has a chance to drop Healing Fruit. Now the returning field upgrades, although that was technically returning but wasn't in Black Ops 6, we have Dark Flare. They've made an adjustment to the Dark Pact major augment. The revive speed has been increased to ensure down players are revived more rapidly. Great. There's the new Muzzle Blast major augment. The beam now deals additional damage in a cone in front of you. The new minor augment is Dusk Flame. Enemies that are hit by the beam are dealt additional shadow damage over time. Healing Aura has the new Necromancer major augment. Healing Aura can now revive dead allies. There's the new Core Nusopia minor augment. Affected players get a health overcharge. Frenzied Guard has the new Fists of Frenzy major augment. While Frenzied, annihilate enemies with your fists. The new minor augment is Dual Layer. When Frenzied Guard is active, armor durability is increased. The new Energy Mine Smart Mine major augment has more detonations and waits for multiple enemies to be in range for each detonation. The new minor augment is Recycle. A deployed energy mine can be recycled for field upgrade charge. Ether Shroud has the new After Image major augment. Distract enemies with a dark ether clone of yourself. That's a really cool one. The Impulse minor augment, deal shadow damage to enemies on activation, increase your movement speed during Ether Shroud. So Gobblegums are back in Black Ops 7 Zombies, obviously. Everything from Black Ops 6 is going to be back, and all of the Gobblegums from Black Ops 6 are going to be available at launch, but there's going to be some new ones as well, and there's going to be some changes to the Gobblegums. So like I said earlier, you can now destroy Gobblegums and convert them into essence. There's enough for everyone. When multiple players are accessing a Gobblegum machine, expect a small cooldown every time you obtain a Gobblegum to allow other teammates a chance to interact with the machine. Like I said before, now you have instant gratification for power-up summoning Gobblegums like Killjoy on the house, etc. They will spawn in instantly instead of you having to physically run into them. A hasty departure, exit strategy, epic, activates exfil vote immediately, reduces zombie spawns during exfil, now automatically exfils the player who used the Gobblegum, counting as a successful exfil. This is partly due to the new exfil feature in Black Ops 7, which I'll talk about later. So there are 47 different types of Gobblegums at release, 41 returning, 6 new, which you can see all on screen. I'm not going to go through them all, but the new ones are here. Aftertaste is back as a rare. Conditional activates on revive. Keep all your perks after being revived. We have the Requipment Epic, timed, lasts 5 minutes. Your equipment slots refill over time. We have Power Vacuum back, epic, timed, lasts 5 minutes. Kills have a higher chance to spawn power-ups. We have Round Off, legendary, conditional, activates on round transition. Rounds prevented from advancing for 2 rounds. We have armor get-in, legendary, instant, receive a 3-plate armor vest and 4 plates. Gift card, ultra, instant, gain 30,000 essence, cannot be combined with other bonuses. That is crazy. So you can't use the double points in addition to that, but that is absolutely wild that you can get so many essence from this. I guess this is because they didn't want to go ahead and have shopping free like they plan to have in Black Ops 6, so this is sort of the exchange for that. So like I said before, now instead of using your Gobblegum in a normal way, you have a second option to crush it in your hand once you select it on your HUD. Once converted, essence is automatically rewarded. The amount of essence you receive is dependent on the rarity of the Gobblegum, with Whimsical being the lowest obviously and Ultra being the highest. The double points power up stacks with this essence reward, awarding you double the normal amount of essence, which is crazy. They're really trying to get you to get rid of all these useless Gobblegums, I guess, to try and incentivize you to play more or buy more, give you a reason, I guess, to have all of these nonsense Gobblegums, as well as gives a reason for all of the whimsical ones that are pointless. The epic rarity profit sharing Gobblegum also stacks with this essence reward, awarding to nearby players as well as yourself. Cool. This feature may disable for specific zombie game modes, I guess, in the future. Or maybe in the cursed mode. Okay, so let's go over the rest of the blog. So Rampage Inducer is going to be back, usually in the early stages of match. You all know how that works, but in Black Ops 7, Rampage Inducer won't spawn the fastest moving zombies super sprinters until round 20, so they're making it a little bit easier for you on those lower rounds. That is nice. They've made some changes to the way that wall buys, such as the armor, weapons, and ammo are going to be working. So weapon wall buys now allow you to purchase ammo at a discounted price for the weapon indicated on the wall buy once that initial wall buy weapon is bought. Armor wall buys have been combined, allowing you to purchase level 2 armor, then level 3 armor from the same armor wall buy. Now, I don't know why when they introduced this in Black Ops 6, it wasn't this way anyways. This is much more streamlined and refined, a great quality of life improvement instead of you having to go to different sections of the map where the different rarity one is. That was annoying. Armor wall buys continue to offer you a full repair to your armor if you have the essence once you purchase the armor level upgrade. Now, the ammo cache is going to be changing as well. First of all, it has a new look with Mr. Peaks on it and a new audio cue, and it looks way better. Things like this make the mode feel so much more zombified, as opposed to things that could be in any generic shooter or mode. In addition to ammo caches, wall buys are now another way to obtain ammunition, like I said earlier. The mystery box is now going to be the Origins version. Now, I don't really know why. It looks really cool, don't get me wrong, and it's something we've been asking for, but storyline-wise, why is it here? I have no idea. I mean, Group 935, I guess, are to do with the map, like I talked about earlier, so I guess that's why. It would have been a lot more fitting to see it on the tomb, but nevertheless, I'm glad it's here later rather than never. The mystery box now has a chance to provide an ether tool to instantly upgrade your weapon's rarity, so I'm great that that's going to be in the pool box for the mystery box now. A nice little change there. Support items, aka score streaks, no longer appear in the mystery box. They were frustrating, but they've been completely removed, I guess, swapped out in exchange for the ether tool. They couldn't really have them both. That would just be polluting the pool too much. Melee weapons no longer appear in the mystery box. The chance to obtain wonder weapons now gradually increases a bit more than previously as rounds progress, but are still a rare phenomenon. So yeah, they were very rare in Black Ops 6, so I'm glad they're going to be a little bit better, but they don't seem to be crazy better. The crafting table with equipment is going to be back to get tactical, lethal, and support score streaks. This type of equipment also occasionally falls to the ground from slain enemies. The Vulture Aid perk can increase the frequency the loot falls, as well as the exact type, providing the correct augment is chosen. And now they have the new Disciple injection, as well as the selection of Black Ops 7 score streaks. At launch, expect the following tactical available to use. So we have Stun Grenade, Stim Shot, Sight Grenade, Hunter Bot, Smoke, Decoy, Symbol Monkey, and the LT-53 Casimir, which is going to be ground loot or crafting only. And you will also now be able to spawn in with the LT-53 Casimir in your loadout. The Sight Grenade explodes on impact with the ground, releasing a lingering red cloud of hallucinogenic gas, which seems to charm zombies. And Hunter Bot, this seems to home towards nearby special and elite enemies before exploding on impact. For lethals, we have Frag, Sticky Grenade, C4, Molotov, Combat Axe, Cluster Grenade, and Point Turret. Cluster Grenade is a grenade that scatters small explosives when detonated, allowing for secondary impacts that can really hammer a horde. Point Turret is a small deployable sentry turret that sticks to surfaces and automatically shoots at enemies, distracting and damaging them. Great, I mean, we saw that before, of course, but we didn't in Black Ops 6, so I'm glad that it's back. Now for the support and score streaks. So like I said, we now have the Disciple injection instead of of the Mangler injection, the mutant injection, to literally turn you into a disciple. So cool. I can't wait to try this out. Of course, the Mangler was very overpowered in Black Ops 6, so I'm guessing this is going to be heavily nerfed, unfortunately, but after injecting yourself with an unstable serum, your crew member's rifling body quickly transforms into a ferocious, floating killing machine. With this devastating new power, you were able to cause some serious havoc, including grab and hurl, raise a normal zombie at range into the air and hurl them at other foes, inflicting powerful dark ether damage. That sounds so much fun. Drain life, focus your feeding powers to slow down and drain the energy from any normal, special, or elite zombies. That's going to be really helpful in multiplayer matches, helping someone out in a boss fight, for example. Unholy Scream, release a sonic blast that stuns those caught in the audio emanation. So yeah, it's going to be so much fun, but I guess they don't want us to just be using this for high rounds like in Black Ops 6, so we'll have to see how it actually is. The arsenal is also going to be back. It's going to be functioning pretty much the same as it did in Black Ops 6, but slightly different. So upgrading the rarity tier of your weapon is now as follows. Uncommon green is now 1000 salvage, rare blue is now 1500 salvage, epic purple is now 2000, legendary orange is now 5000 salvage. The rarity of your weapon can occasionally be upgraded via rare, ground, or reward loot with ether tools, of course. Now, all the elemental weaknesses that we saw in Black Ops 6 will be back as well, like you can see on screen. Now, regarding the Pack-a-Punch. So I'm really excited with this because it's literally going to be a part of the Wonder vehicle, but it's not going to be there attached to the vehicle. It's going to be an upgrade for it. So the Pack-a-Punch is the beating heart of any round-based zombies map. Once you have gathered enough essence, step up and upgrade your weapon instantly. Primary, melee, and even wonder weapons can be enhanced up to 3 times, each tier boosting damage, ammo capacity, renaming the weapon, and sometimes adding surprising effects. Alongside raw power, every upgrade delivers a striking new look and sound, with glowing camos that can be toggled on or off in settings if you'd rather keep your weapon's original look. In Ashes of the Damned, there's one important difference to the Pack-a-Punch machine. It is mobile, being clamped to the exhaust as an upgrade to all T.E.D.D, the Wonder vehicle. Pack-a-Punch machine's return is more expected in a stationary position during survival mode matches. You can enable or disable Pack-a-Punch weapon camos in the menu before match, or by bashing the machine before obtaining the Pack-a-Punch weapon. There are more investigations needed to fully understand the secrets of Pack-a-Punch in Black Ops 7, so I wonder what that means, but you can see the Pack-a-Punch camo. It looks really nice. I really like this design, and it's so cool that it's literally the exhaust of T.E.D, and I wonder what the upgrade process is going to be for it. Now, it does seem like, of course, first of all, you're going to have to power the different generators around the map. It does imply in the blog as well, you might be able to turn off the objective markers to unlock Pack-a-Punch and power, so that would be a nice change if you can actually turn that off on the HUD, but I'll get onto that in a second. Now we have T.E.D tasks. So T.E.D is back on the map. You can, like I said earlier, attach him to T.E.D as an upgrade, but he's also going to be available for the tasks. So periodically phasing in and out of the dark ether is a strange interface console with an oversized T.E.D head attached to it. Access it, then complete a specific time task that T.E.D has assigned for you. The rewards you receive increase in rarity depending on how well you complete the task. Expect rewards to include equipment, tools, and random perks. Perk rewards are usually related to those a player doesn't already have. So basically, these are just trials returning. This is the new version of the trials. As to why there's multiple T.E.Ds on the map, I do not know, but I'm guessing it was mass manufactured, similar to Klaus, so many probably ended up in the dark ether anyways. Let's go over the new HUD for Black Ops 7 Zombies now. So we've actually gotten this previewed in the various different intel drops, and the HUD pretty much looks exactly or similar to how it's done throughout the entire dark ether saga thus far. It looks very similar to multiplayer in the fact it has this sort of futuristic look to it. I don't really understand it though, because I mean, we're literally in the heart of the dark ether. We're not really in any futuristic kind of setting. Of course, the dark ether is a merger of time, but nevertheless, it doesn't really fit here. I do wish they had a more zombies inspired default HUD. Now, people are saying, well, it's unfinished. For example, you can see with the Wonder weapon, it just has the beam smasher as a placeholder for the icon, but I think that's just because that specific thing is not finished yet. This HUD is probably going to remain pretty much the same as the default. However, we have some exciting news about the HUD, but I don't think we have the full information on it just yet. But basically, in the blog, they have reveals that you can customize the HUD in new and familiar ways, and it's going to be easily accessible via the Zombies HUD presets menu, with additional tweaks available in the settings menu. So similar to Black Ops 6, you can remove the minimap, compass, prompts, zombie health bars, and damage numbers. So I'm thinking the prompts means that you might be able to remove the pickup indicators, but it could also be referring to the Pack-a-Punch objectives or to unlock power. It'll be great if you can turn that off for those fans who want to jump in for a more authentic experience when they first jump into a match to not detract from the atmosphere. The Pack-a-Punch camo can be switched on and off, and you can even choose to remove HUD elements or all of it entirely. There are 2 additional ways to adjust your HUD experience in Zombies via themes and layouts. So layouts you can select from a variety of HUD interface layouts, just like in Black Ops 6, and though individual HUD elements can't be moved, the layout variety includes magnified elements for accessibility accessibility or those seeking a cleaner look to their brand new Zombies experience. So obviously before Black Ops 6 Zombies released, from the beta, people managed to get access to the dev tools to actually be able to resize all of the HUD things, and we thought we were going to be able to do this on release. I think this is what Treyarch wanted to do, but it was probably causing crashes or something, so they didn't get it working in the launch version of the game, and unfortunately it won't be coming in Black Ops 7 anyways. But it's interesting they've made reference to that there. But you will be able to magnify things, which is going to be great, of course, for accessibility purposes. But the cool thing is you can apply a custom color to your HUD that has two settings, a set of 45 basic colors or a custom color menu with hue, saturation, and brightness sliders. This menu is so granular it includes a place to input a 6-character hex code for an incredibly precise color. So once again, in that leaked footage we had before of the dev tools recoloring the HUD, this is something I covered in a video because I thought you would be able to recolor the HUD so you can stylize it in the way you want, so you can make it look more Zombies themed. For example, have it all red, which I think definitely looks a lot more Zombies themed, but it wasn't something working in the launch version of the game. Well, instead of you being able to customize it to any color of your choice on a color wheel or whatever, and now you have 45 basic colors to choose from, which is more than enough. And this really does seem in direct response, honestly, to that leak coming out about the customizable HUD, because so many people were then asking for it like I in videos. But the most exciting thing about the HUD information is that they have said there are several planned themes to choose from, with some elements familiar to those with long appreciation of Call of Duty Zombies. So we've only seen one version of the HUD so far, which appears to be the default, but there are going to be themes which are going to be similar to past Zombies HUDs. So there might be a Black Ops 3 Zombies inspired theme, or a Black Ops 1 Zombies inspired HUD. So I don't think the full HUD is going to be exactly the same as those past games, but they are going to be similar. So I think they're going to reveal more details on this in the future. It's probably not fully ready yet, which is why they've not revealed it just yet, but they've revealed so much information. I'm glad they're not revealing too much at once. But people right now are freaking out about the HUD. But let's just wait and see what these different themes are actually going to be, because so many people were asking for Black Ops 3's HUD to just come to Black Ops 6, for example, and they might actually be listening to this. This is in direct response to all of that criticism and all of that feedback. So I'm excited to see what those themes actually are and how they look. Now, things like the minimap and stuff are probably still going to remain, and there's nothing really that can be done about that. But you can turn it off if you don't want it anyways. But if you do want it on, that's probably not going to be that stylized, but we'll have to wait and see how the themes actually look. It's interesting they haven't said that they're going to be exactly like the past games, so I don't think they're going to be identical to the past HUDs, but they're going to be similar. Now let's go over the new exfil phone booth. So this is really cool. A very obvious reference to Doctor Who here, and it seems to be literally from Group 935. This has to have a connection to, you know, the Nazi New York map or something. I don't know, because these are similar to the German phone booths. It's very similar, or potentially even the exact same one, but for some reason in the dark ether of Samantha's phone booth that she goes in the D Machine intro cutscene. It's a clear reference to that. I don't know why it's here though. Is it Samantha's memories bleeding in? Of course, she died in the dark ether. Maybe there's something in her mind that is remaining, because why on earth is this back? I do not know, but it's very cool. So with Raptor 1's fate currently unknown, you won't be relying on a helicopter airlift to exfil you and your team when the going gets overly chaotic. Fortunately, an archaic German Telefoseln booth, repurposed as a cosmic gateway portal, can be called upon, both literally and figuratively, to extricate you from the mayhem. So it's literally going to be like Doctor Who. You can go in the phone booth and it's going to portal you out of the dark ether. As to what this is going to mean storyline wise though, I do not know. Who are we going to be going out to in the regular world? I do not know, but I assume this is not going to have a canon really storyline as to why you're exfilling out, but we'll just have to wait and see about that. But these booths activate periodically throughout the match. The phone rings, and if you answer it, a portal is conjured where the player requested the exfil. So it's probably going to be like Vanguard Zombies, where you would just go to the exfil portal and then you would just get teleported out. But it didn't really have a cool animation or anything like that, so I'm hoping there is a cool animation, as the version in Vanguard was very underwhelming compared to exfilling on the helicopter, which I felt was very cool. So hopefully it does have something like Doctor Who, where you can literally just fly out in the booth. That would be so cool, spiraling through the vortex. But when you activate the exfil, this also brings in a fearsome, high-value target entity and its minions. The HVT and its underlings must be slain before a time limit expires, and if successful, the portal becomes fully accessible. Fail and you die horribly. During the fight, all of the other phone booths throughout the map start to activate their own portals. Step through these portals and they link to the phone booth with the HVT. This allows other teammates elsewhere on the map to quickly teleport in to lend a hand, which is great. Obviously the map is so big, it needs to be this way. However, I don't know how this is going to work on survival maps. Maybe there's not even going to be exfils on them. I'm not sure if it's clarified. Maybe it is in this blog. And I don't know if this phone booth system is going to be the same in all of the DLC maps as well, or it's just going to be exclusive alternative to Ashes of the Damned. So yeah, other than that, the exfil is pretty much going to be the same as we've seen. You can read the rest of the details on screen from the blog. Now let's go over some additional features. So we have the melee weapon adjustment. So critical hits, this means you're able to aim at a target, strike them at the head, and cause critical attacks, which in turn grant you more damage in essence. You have more control over the swing and arc of the weapon from start to impact, and more importantly, the timing of the attack to ensure a critical hit is achieved. So you're going to have a lot more control over your melee attacks than ever before. You're also going to now have melee heavy attacks. The heavy attack you can use with any melee weapon is now adjusted to be a bit slower but able to deal more damage. There's going to be a new enhancement to the health overcharge. A new feature for Black Ops 7 Zombies is Overheal, a modifying buff that allows players to temporarily increase their maximum health using certain augments or equipment. Here's how it works. Enhanced health. The most you can raise your health by combined augment effects like Juggernaut's probiotic augment and the stim shot equipment, for example, is plus 100 health above your current health maximum. Overheal employs specific tactics and you can increase your health still further. This bonus to your health is temporary, meaning unlike your regular health, it does not regenerate over time. So yeah, they're going to be changing things now. Instead of just using a stim shot to get to full health, it's only going to give you plus 100, but there's now this new overheal feature. The bonus is lost once your current health drops below the normal maximum, but it can be temporarily reacquired. There's going to be some changes with the auto revive on new rounds. When a round completes, expect any player in prone position to be auto revived. Area of effectiveness, as noted in the augments section of this blog, damage types without a hit location, Deadwise lightning strike augment for example, are no longer automatically considered critical hits or headshots. Note this also applies to any equipment and some traps. Now some other changes, that they're adding the new intel inspection for audio logs, artifacts and documentation strewn from the dark universe of terror. Gathering all evidence in one place for further investigation is a must. In the Zombies intel menu, each piece of intel can now be studied and inspected, including zooming in and out and rotating. So this is something that we had in Black Ops Cold War's intel system, but wasn't present in Black Ops 6's, I think because they moved to the new engine, they just didn't get it working, but now it's going to be here in Black Ops 7, so yes, the intel system is back, the same as it has been. They've not said if there's going to be more intel or less intel. I assume it's probably going to be a similar amount to Black Ops 6 in that case, but it's going to be cool because we're going to be finding these artifacts from the dark ether, so I think it's going to be a bit more mysterious of an intel system, but it's great that we're going to be able to study these things, which makes me think maybe there's going to be some specific details we can read or look on some of the artifacts or documents that have a reason to want to zoom in on these things and just see them in high quality, especially the artifacts. So the save, load and rejoin system is going to be returning in Black Ops 7 Zombies. I don't know why they're hyped about this though, but yeah, this is great. Solo pausing is also going to be back. I don't know why they say on other innovations. This is not an innovation. I understand they're now using dedicated servers, but solo pausing should be a thing from the get-go. But yeah, they've not mentioned anything about it changing. Of course, it has a 15-minute timer. Unfortunately, in Black Ops 6, of course, you can save and quit, but it doesn't seem they're going to be changing that at all in Black Ops 7. I don't know why they're regarding this as an innovation. This should not be the case. I understand they're now using dedicated servers due to some stupid higher-up decisions, but I think they need to change it where maybe if you've been paused for a little bit, it changes from being on a dedicated server and it transfers you to a non-dedicated one, and then it connects you back when you leave or something to just save your game or to verify you haven't cheated. I don't know. Surely there's some sort of better way to do this, to pause for a long time or to be able to play offline or something. I don't know. Like, why can it not just like make you go offline but somehow still save that and reconnect at a later point? I don't know. I know it could be exploited, but I'm just spitballing some suggestions. So the firing range is back, allowing fine-tuning of ranged weapons before or after matches. The armory returns, allowing players who missed unlocking items or equipment or weapons in Black Ops 6 or previous seasons of Black Ops 7 the chance to do so via challenges. So progression is going to be back, pretty much the same as Black Ops 6 with prestige and etc. The dual XP tokens or Gobblegums and augment research is all going to transfer from Black Ops 6 to 7. The dedicated Zombies crew is going to be transferring over from 6 to 7, of course, and all of their skins, etc. from the main quest will transfer over as well. The prestige level 1000 new orders operator skin for Samuels will also transfer from Black Ops 6 to 7. Of course, Carry Forward was cancelled. So that's pretty much all of the information from Black Ops 7 Zombies in the blog, apart from Dead Ops Arcade 4. So let's go over everything we know about Dead Ops Arcade 4 in Black Ops 7 Zombies, because it's going to be bigger and better than ever before. It's now called Papa Back in Black. Of course, we usually have Dead Ops Arcade every other Black Ops game, so now it's about time, and it literally sounds like a game on its own. I'm so excited to play this, and although we're only getting Ashes of the Damned as the main experience on release, of course we have the farm survival map as well, this is going to provide so much life and replay value. It's been 5 years, it's time for a new Dead Ops Arcade experience. So the blog goes over the origin story, which you can read on screen, but I'm just going to skip over that to where we last saw Dead Ops Arcade 3, Rise of the Mama back in Black Ops Cold War, where we saw her embracing her identity as a full-fledged mode accessible accessible from the main menu, combining scale and spectacle with an unrestrained storyline that reveled in parody. Now, 15 years since the original Dead Ops Arcade, Black Ops 7 resurrects the chaos with Dead Ops Arcade 4, Papa Back in Black. Across battles with the dreaded cosmic Silverback and his vengeful kin, his brother Cyber, the Mamaback, and now the Papaback, the fight rages on. In Dead Ops Arcade 4, the Silverback family isn't holding back in its desire to win back their pet chicken from the player, who has attempted to abscond with the beloved bird named Fidolina over the course of the past 3 games. This time, the Silverback clan isn't messing around. The Papaback has taken up the mantle of this challenge to keep the player's hands off their chicken once and for all. But let's go over the gameplay. Ready up for a journey through the Silverback Trail and take on a multitude of unique arenas, mastering numerous weapons, both familiar and brand new, to reach the final showdown with the Papaback himself. Play solo or in a team of up to 4 players. There are over 20 unique areas and unprecedented 80 levels of chaotic action to reach the confrontation with Papaback, so about 20 or so more than we usually get, so there's going to be so much to explore on this map. I can't wait, and we're going to be seeing enemies from the past games, such as the Guardian is back from Citadel Day Moore, and some locations such as Newtown and some past locations that are familiar to us will all be back in the arenas, and there's going to be over 10 bonus rooms to encounter. So we have the Silverback Trail. More than 10 weapons, both new and classic. New weapons to Dead Ops Arcade games include the Wunderfizz DG2 and the Jet Gun Wonder Weapons. I wonder how they're going to function in Dead Ops Arcade. Multiple Silverback challenge events that feature a different kind of chaotic experience, such as Reddin's Rally, drop into an ATV and race around a circular track, not stopping to avoid any zombie obstacles. The Fall 100, a descent through a hazardous chamber as you collect treasure and avoid instant death. The Room of Fate Mountain Challenge, a milestone chamber where you get to pick up a permanent fate to use for the rest of the game. 3 all-new Slayer map experiences which really turn up the heat. If the player manages to survive, they have access to the Slayer Mart. The player can purchase over 70 powerful upgrades here, allowing them to push further into the Silverback territory. Over 30 Dead Ops Arcade style pickups returning, along with some cool new additions such as Mutant Injector. Over 20 different enemies to face, including epic mini-bosses from new and previous Zombies maps. Find extra firepower to face down the Z-Rex, Zursa, the Guardian Golem, and Mega Abomination. So yeah, so many of the enemies are going to be back in this. I have no idea how the Z-Rex is going to be in this. That's going to be absolutely crazy, especially in third person. Access multiple insanely overpowered vehicles to control in combat. For the first time, familiar round-based Zombies gameplay mechanics are available in Dead Ops Arcade. This includes ammo mods, field upgrades, and Gobblegums. So yeah, it's going to be a lot more streamlined with the rest of the mode. This really feels a lot better integrated, which was kind of going in that direction with Black Ops Cold War, but not enough. Ammo mods and field upgrades occupy the same function in Dead Ops Arcade 4 compared to Zombies. Select ammo mods, field upgrades, and Gobblegums that have special effects and may differ from regular Zombies. So I'm wondering how those are all going to be balanced and how it's going to be balanced over the course of the year when new Gobblegums, new field upgrades, etc. are added, and whenever they are modified in the regular Zombies mode. It's going to be interesting to see how Dead Ops Arcade is balanced separately to the regular modes. Want that original Dead Ops Arcade experience? Don't worry, there are modes available for purists without any round-based mechanics present. So there's going to be many different modes to play this. There's going to be so much replay value here. There are multiple ways to play with twin-stick top-down action interspersed with first-person areas. So we have casual, a more forgiving Dead Ops Arcade experience with round-based Zombies elements. We have standard, regular difficulty level with round-based Zombies elements. Hardcore, which won't be there at launch, it's going to be post-launch. Classic Dead Ops Arcade gameplay as the Papaback has taken away your Gobblegums, the Slayer Mart, and a few other luxuries. Post-launch will also see standard advanced start. Begin your next standard solo game at the highest round you previously achieved. Stats, challenges, and leaderboards are not available. So this is going to be perfect, especially for solo play. Obviously, Dead Ops Arcade takes a very, very long time to get to the end, especially now there's going to be over 80 levels. Hours and hours and hours of gameplay. So with how easy it is to die, especially on solo, this is going to be perfect for being able to get to the eventual end. First-person modes. Prefer your Dead Ops Arcade experience up close and personal. Expect casual and standard modes to have first-person variants to play at launch. So I'm so happy that's going to be available at launch. First-person mode was so much fun in Black Ops Cold War, but it came post-launch, and I think so many people by that point weren't even playing the game to be able to enjoy that. This is going to make it a lot more accessible because obviously it is a first-person game after all. That's what people enjoy the most. It's going to be so much fun. Progression confirmed over 5 modes. Player progression is also tied to Dead Ops Arcade 4, meaning you can level up in 5 separate modes. The campaign, multiplayer, zombies, along along with Dead of Decade 4 and Warzone End Season 1. So yes, you can finally level up and you can unlock your Gobblegums and level up your Augments and weapons, etc. in this mode, which again was something really lacking in Black Ops Cold War. Not being able to level up or unlock the ether crystals really detracted from the accessibility of the mode. It's absolutely phenomenal that this stuff's going to be available at release. Now, for some additional information coming from the YouTubers who got to play early, apparently for the DLC maps in the game, Treyarch is wanting to have each map to have their own unique elites, similar to Black Ops 1 and 2, so hopefully we're not just seeing the same manglers over and over again in Black Ops 7, and they apparently want to have less projectile-based enemies in Black Ops 7, which is great news as well. According to Codename Pizza, Black Ops 7 Zombies apparently plays very similar to Black Ops 6, but aesthetically looks way better, which we can tell from everything we've seen. T.E.D. will apparently be the first upgrade for the Wonder Truck. I have no idea how many upgrades in total there will actually be. Apparently the Pack-a-Punch parts for it will be found in Ashwood, which I guess could suggest that the great voice is actually Jeb Brown, but I'm not entirely convinced. And apparently attaching the Pack-a-Punch to the truck will allow it to have a boost effect that you can apply to charge with it to go faster. I guess that will be great for escaping the bear and the new denizens. For the Zursa and Ravagers, there are also going to be some destructible environments on Ashes of the Damned, but only in a few specific places such as gates, etc. Gas will be required for the Wonder Truck, which was actually a cut feature for the bus originally on Transit. Okay, so now let's go through the gameplay trailer and the intel drops for everything important to note. I'm just going to go through these quickly because the video is so long already. So first of all, we see the Wonder Truck here, we see the goat skull or whatever it is at the start. We get some very quick flashes here. If we slow it down, you can see the dark ether forest, which looks so creepy and eerie with the purple glow. Really reminds me of the forest from Black Ops 3 Zombies' menu. Then we get this glitch where we see this skull. Then we see some zombies bashing into the Tessie. Then we get a look at the truck coming into the farm area, what it looks like, and you can see all of these hanging zombies. It looks so creepy. You can see the environmental zombies that are going to interact with you when you actually come up to them are going to be returning in this game, as you can see with this zombie moving here by Dempsey, which Dempsey does get a quote here. It's good to hear him back. Then we get a look at the floating pyramid. That's definitely going to be involved in the Easter egg. So creepy. That's definitely going to be tied into probably why we even get to the other DLC maps. Then we get a look at this dead family that I talked about earlier. There's blood writing saying dinner is served, and then we can see some of the barriers with the floating doors and windows and chairs. That's a really cool way to do the barriers, which reminds me of how they did with Ethereum back in the day. Then we see some blood writing saying the twins are lie, and then there's a glitch on the TV screen showing two of these creepy twins. Now, people have been saying this could be the Entity and Ava Jansen. I don't think so. I think this is actually the Shadow Smiths that we learn about, and they are these evil twins, these entities from the Dark Ether that I think the Warden might be working with, and that's going to be the point of the Easter egg. We know the Easter egg is going to be about retrieving the essence of the original characters, and probably some of them are at least going to get their essence back. There is a shot in the trailer where we see Maya where she's not all corrupted and she doesn't have the palish skin and the corrupted eyes, so maybe Maya is going to be one of the ones that we retrieve her essence in the Easter egg for the map. Then we get a shot of Dempsey coming through the farm. We can see that saw trap that I mentioned before. Then we see the Warden here, I believe. So then we see some legs here, and we can see all of these hanging bodies. I just love the vibe of this. And then we get some glitching shots of the Janus Towers Plaza, the spawn room. Maybe that'll come as its own survival map as well. Then we get an overhead shot of the map, and this looks so cool. You can see the floating zombie over there on the right in the distance. And man, this looks so cool. I really love the style here and all of these dark ether spots where you can see all of the bolts of energy. And yeah, that pyramid there, I'm just drawn to. My eyes just go straight there. It just looks so cool. Then the Black Ops 7 Zombies logo comes up. Not a big fan of this logo, but I guess it's okay. Then it just repeats some shots from the intro cutscene, so we can just sort of skip through that quickly because you know what that's all about. But then it gets back over to where we see T.E.D. and his head, so I guess that's where we actually find him. And then we can see Maya with Richtof in a crazy shot here, and she's playing with his head and chucking it up and down. Meanwhile, Richtofin's doing the OK symbol. Kind of a weird connotation there. And then there's a bright light in the sky. That's a very interesting shot there of a sun or something, and you've got all of this ethereal mist that we can see, or these wisps, should I say. Then we can see the radio, which is inside the Wonder Truck. We know it can actually play the transit loading screen music, but maybe it can play some other tracks. And we see old Tessie. Then we can see the Pack-a-Punch attached to the back. We can see Mr. Peaks' head on the gear stick. That looks so cool. And then it's got the freaking abomination head strapped onto the front, one of the upgrades for it. I guess they can eat and attack the zombies. We've got the DG2 mounted there. And yeah, the Wonder Truck is positioned here. Maybe this is where we have to refuel it. It kind of looks that way, but I'm not exactly sure. Is this just where we find it, or is this where we upgrade it? Maybe there's a specific spot where we actually have to upgrade it. That looks to be here in the farm, in the underground section. There's got a film reel that you can see on the back and all these different items such as gloves. There's probably going to be tons of Easter eggs items here. Then we get an overview look at the map. We can see one of the generators that you have to actually activate for the Pack-a-Punch. This is kind of just going to work like the Origins generators. I don't think they can actually get attacked mid-match though. At each of the different points of interest, there's going to be a generator that you have to charge on, and then you have to defend it from some zombies, and then it powers up the section on the map. You can see a sign on the right saying Judgment Square. Takeo there looking all cool. The zombie models look all so cool here. The skybox is so cool. God, I just love the vibes of this. And then we can see the Wonder Vehicle in action with T.E.D. attached to it. That'll be talking to you throughout, I'm sure, giving you loads of funny lines and stuff. The map just looks so in-depth. It's crazy. Just looks like so much development has gone into this compared to Black Ops 6. Then they're shooting some zombies with all the mist going around, going through one of the tunnels. Then we can see the new Ravager enemies chasing the Wonder Vehicle, and you can see them shooting it with the DG2 and just seeing them all getting absolutely blasted off. Yeah, this looks so much fun. I'm sure the map's going to be a bit annoying though on solo, because it does look like there's going to be a lot to it. It's going to be very in-depth. There's going to be so many Easter eggs throughout the map, which I'm really excited about because it is so big and vast. That's what I'm really excited about. But yeah, the Wonder Vehicle is going to be a challenge. I think especially on solo. This is definitely going to be a map you're supposed to play with other people, I guess, like the other transit. Then you can see the Wonder Vehicle going up some hill or a ramp and literally just jumping off into the distance. We can't really see much below, but it looks like it's about to go right off a cliff. And then it says reclaim your soul. So yeah, that's going to be the point of the Easter egg. Then it lands back down on the road. Now in this shot, you can actually see the Z-Rex skull head. So yes, literally loads of things have been pulled in from Liberty Falls. So I'm sure we're going to see many other things and artifacts from the realm. Then we get a look at the Exit 115 section. So yeah, 115 is back in some capacity in the storyline. And then we see the new version of Diner. And yeah, just everything about this map just looks so atmospheric, so cool. We see inside the diner, we can see the new trap here once again. And man, this just looks so good. And then we see Toxic Growth in action here, just tearing apart the zombies. Then we get some weird glitches on screen. I don't know what is going on here, but we get a quick look at inside of the mystery box. So yeah, I don't know why the Origins mystery box is back, but it looks cool, and Mr. Peaks is still inside. And then it glitches to a shot of a zombie, and then it shows this weird square artifact. I don't know what this is. Is this something to do with the artifacts for the cursed mode, or is this something separate just for the Easter egg? I do not know what this is, but it's got these weird sort of like organs or something on each of the corner, and blood and weird symbols in the middle, and it's got the Origins pillar circles on it as well. I don't know what this is, but it's definitely something very important that we'll have to learn about. And then we can see the jump pad in action, teleporting then over to the Ascension launch area, and you can see depending on which point of interest you're on, there's going to be different zombie models catered towards it. So for example, you've literally got astronaut zombies here, which looks so cool. Then we can see Nikolai Dolphin diving off to the side. Then we can see the new Wisp T perk. Then we get the glitch look where it says it must be awakened, which I'm guessing is referring to these twins. So I think that's going to be the point of the Easter egg. Maybe we get tricked into awakening these twins, and then we find out they're evil. Now I do not think they are Ava Jansen and the Entity. However, it's possible that this could give the idea to the Requiem crew why they actually create Ava and why they create the Entity in the first place, because maybe we're inspired by them. But yeah, I don't know what is going on here, but I'm so intrigued by all of this. It looks so much better in so many ways compared to Black Ops 6. It's just a shame that the story for Black Ops 6, I feel, got shafted in a lot of ways to move us on to this game. Then we get a look at the new Wonder Weapon in action, throwing all of these piercings, and yeah, looks so good. And then the Wonder Vehicle in action, just going through all of the zombies, etc. And yeah, Dempsey just looks in all badass in the car. Then we get a look at the front of the Wonder Vehicle about to take on the new bear zombie, and then that's roars, and then we get the end of the trailer, and then it goes over to the death animation for the bear, which looks so cool once again. But yeah, that's pretty much all you can take out of the trailer. Now there's some cool shots in the intel drops that I played at the beginning of the video of some of the different points of interest or some of the other features on the map that gives much better look at some of the gameplay or some of the areas, especially where there's the fog or where the vehicle traverses through. But there's not really too much to make out from them. Of course, they describe everything they talk about in the the intel drops. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to say in this video. A very long video breaking down absolutely everything about Black Ops 7 Zombies. Let me know your thoughts on it all down in the comments below. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not here for the latest and greatest Call of Duty news information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.